Hello, gamers. You're listening to the Short Pause Gaming Podcast. This is episode number 106. And welcome back to another edition of the Short Pause Gaming Podcast. I'm Brent Felsing, and as you can see, joining me tonight solely is Benjamin Boyce. We've given Frankie and Bender the night off to kind of clear out their schedules, clear up their slate. You know, Frankie's still powering through The Witcher 3. Bender just finished Mass Effect 3. He's got to clean up some more stuff because we got a big week coming ahead. But, Boyce, we're running a two-man show this week, dude.
Another blast from the past, man.
Yeah.
Rip-roaring and ready to go.
What have you been playing this week?
Well, we fired up Typoman on the Thursday Night Indie Spotlight this past week. You know, I fired this game up primarily. There were some other games that I was interested in last week, Night in the Woods in particular, which I haven't got to play yet, but I actually hear some really good things about. But when we had Taz on the show, he mentioned that he wanted to see Typoman. So when Typoman arrived last week, I was like, you know what, I'm going to play this game because it does look really, really cool. And I fired up Typoman, and lo and behold, it's really, really cool. It's a sweet game, man. I looked like a dumbass on that stream on several occasions. Like I really could not get my act together in terms of the puzzle solving in this game. There were some things that just took me way longer to solve than they should have. I think part of it is my brain just stops working when I'm on a stream. Part of it is I'm just not that smart. So
I was gonna say, dude, it's not good when I'm watching the stream going, why don't you do this? I'm just sending messages on Twitch going, try this, and you're just like, shut up, Brent.
Yeah, like early on in the game there was this puzzle. Well, the game first, you're this character. You're made of letters. They spell out hero. You know, there's H-E-R-O, and you know, there's no dialogue. There's kind of this very dark world that you're placed into, which is cool, and there's a series of word puzzles throughout each of these levels that you have to try and solve in order to get from point A to point B. So on a very basic level, the entire environment is made of letters, and some of those letters you can interact with. So early on in the game, you'll come to a platform. The word platform is spelled out, and then if you simply combine the letters O and N, which are nearby in the environment, to form on, the platform will then start to move. You can jump onto the platform, and it will take you up to the next part of the level that you need to get to. So on a very basic level, that's what Typoman's about. It's about solving these word puzzles and figuring out how to traverse the environment. And then things get more and more advanced from there. At one point, you're swinging on these vines, and each of these vines has a letter on them. And at this point in the level, it's raining. And the word rain is spelled out at one point in the level, and underneath it, there's this giant moat of water that's formed because of the rain. But there's a D nearby on a vine, and if you can swing that vine and connect that vine to rain, to spell drain, that water then will, you know, drain out through the bottom, and you can traverse the rest of the level and get on to the next part of it. So it's really, really cool stuff like that, and I just thought some of the puzzles were really clever when I was going through there. I don't know if you saw the part when I was going through like that section with the gas, but
yes.
But there's this gas, this poisonous gas that if you breathe it in for too long, it kills you, and you need to start back at the checkpoint. And at one point you come across this letter P, and you're carrying it with you through the level, and you can actually add the letter, because gas is spelled out on these gas clouds, and you can add the letter P to spell gasp, and then you kind of take a breath of air, then you grab the P and move on to the next gas cloud, put the P on there again, gasp air again, so you kind of like get these breathers in between these gas sections. That was a really clever section. But there's some really clever puzzles in the game that I thought were cool. I always appreciate words and wordsmithing and stuff like that, so that kind of stuff I kind of nerd out on. So anytime there's word puzzles or things of that nature, I get kind of excited over that. So I love that that's the foundation of Typoman. And then just the aesthetic of the game is cool. The soundtrack's very evocative, moody.
Yeah, it is.
The environment just dark, full of these creatures, like this Doom character that chases you through some of these levels that you've got to figure out how to get around. This beast or whatnot that's kind of overseeing the kind of demise of this world.
Right.
I'm assuming you're going to come face to face with him at some point, but he looks pretty treacherous. So it's interesting that this kind of, light, airy concept of word puzzles is kind of juxtaposed against this super dark world that you're going through, and it looks really cool. It plays well. The puzzles are cool. There was a weird glitch at the beginning of the game where I couldn't go up a ladder for some reason, but outside of that, it's worked pretty well, and I really, really like it, man. I don't think it's too terribly long. I think there's 3 chapters in the game. I played through the prologue and chapter 1 on the stream, so I imagine there's a few more hours worth of gameplay on there. Some of the trophies in the game are really cool, so they're going to encourage some repeated playthroughs to get the platinum. Some of them seem like they're going to be kind of difficult, so I really, really like Typoman. I recommend it if you're in the mood for a different kind of puzzle platformer. I recommend you give this one a whirl. I had some fun with it, man.
Yeah, I ended up picking up buying the game after your stream just because I love the atmosphere in that game. It's, like you said, it's very moody, very ominous, and the soundtrack is fantastic. I ended up picking up, man, that soundtrack. It said the date on that soundtrack was 2010.
Really?
Yeah,
was that when the original one?
I'm assuming
this is Typoman revised.
Yeah, I'm assuming the original came out in 2010 because
that
thing
was it that long ago?
Yeah, the soundtrack said 2010. I was like, wow, that's I didn't realize it was that old of a game. Yeah. But no, it looked very, very cool, and I plan on. I always look for like games like these smaller games that you play, especially like the indie titles, to play while I'm editing the podcast. I don't have to have the sound down. I can just watch it as I'm listening for things to edit. And Typoman looks like to fit the bill. Like that's the perfect type of game to play. Looks like it's very challenging. And I played Fly Wrench for a while last week when I was editing. Got through. I think I got through like 4 or 5 worlds on that. And Typoman looks like the perfect type of game to play while I'm editing the podcast. So I'm definitely looking forward to firing that up, dude.
Yeah, it's been a good run for the Indie Spotlight so far this year. Played some really cool games.
Oh yeah.
Fly Wrench, last week was really, really cool. I've made it through a few more worlds on that one too. It's getting tough now, so I will have to see how far I can get before I reach my point of no return. But Fly Wrench is awesome. Typoman, really, really cool. And we'll see if we can keep that streak going this week as well.
Yes. Did you play anything else?
That's pretty much it. I've been toying around with Resogun a lot now since the new update.
Yeah, the Pro update.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite games. Still one of my favorite games on the PS4. It's just such a fun game, man. And the game looks great in the 4K. The game looks great in HDR. I mean, those explosions really pop off the screen now when they happen. And I can always jump into that game and play a round of survival, and it's just always a great time. So I've been going in there. There's actually some trophies I'm missing. I have the platinum in the game, but I don't have all the trophies for the DLC. So I've just been kind of going in there and playing around with that a little bit, trying to see if I can come across a few of them. There's one in particular, the make it to day 5 of survival, which I haven't done yet, which I can do, but I just haven't been able to make it that far yet. But that's probably my favorite mode in the game. Survival. So if you haven't checked that out, definitely recommend that. It's kind of like an endless mode.
Right.
You just go through as far as you can go until you die. But man, what a great game! I freaking love that game.
I ended up re-downloading it when that Pro patch came out. It does look really really good. It looks fantastic on a 4K
looks awesome
TV.
On the Pro. Yeah,
looks really good. Gosh, I haven't played too much this week. Other than I played a little Fly Wrench earlier in the week. Frankie and I fired up Halo Wars 2 again for a stream. And we continue to struggle to kind of get a grasp on how to play an RTS. Right now, our strategy seems to be build as many troops as possible and just charge in, guns blazing, and hopefully overwhelm the enemy at each location. We're still trying to figure out, we're still trying to learn the game, how to play it properly. And there's a lot of things we could probably do better, like taking control of certain units. Like Frankie could take control of the ground units, the Hellbringers, the Marines, where I could take over the Warthogs, our tanks, and our aerial aircraft. Go in, kind of lighten up the heavy artillery, and then have Frankie bring in the troops. I mean, stuff like that we need to kind of work together a little bit better, and this is just part of the learning process. I mean, we are not RTS pros; we're noobs. And it's still a really fun game, but I still think we haven't even scratched the surface of like really getting a lot of enjoyment out of this game by playing it properly. So we're through, I think, 4 missions now. We have 8 more to go. We're still going to try to squeeze a stream in, this week, get a little bit in maybe Monday night, and then take it from there. But Halo Wars 2 is still a very interesting game to me. I can still see, every time we play it, I see something new and I do something new. I'm like, okay, I'm starting to get a little bit of hang of this, but we still have a long ways to go with Halo Wars 2, but still a very fun game to play cooperatively.
Yeah, I'm curious too. I watched you guys stream, and I've watched both of them that you've done in the 4 missions you've gone through. And like you said, it's been just pretty much let's create as many soldiers as we can, and then we'll just go attack the enemy and move on to the next level. So I'm curious if that strategy is going to hold up over the course of the game. If it does, are there different difficulties in this game?
There are different difficulties, and I don't anticipate that strategy to hold up because with each chapter they've introduced kind of like a new wrinkle in the form of an enemy or the objective that we have to go to. But I'm assuming that it's going to throw more at us as the missions progress, as we move further along the campaign. I'm expecting this to get much tougher, and I don't think the overwhelm the enemy strategy is going to pay out as well as it has early on. So we're going to have to make some adjustments. We are going to have to evolve playing this game, and I'm looking forward to doing that. And I know Frankie is too, and we definitely dig the game so far. But in order for us to succeed, and I got to believe these missions are going to become more involved with different types of enemies and objectives that we have to take, protecting our base, it's going to require us to really work together. And that part of it still really interests me. I really like that about this game. Is you don't see it early on, but you can just tell by the way these missions have evolved from one to the next. You can tell that cooperative play is going to be very integral to our success. So I'm looking forward to continuing playing Halo Wars 2.
Yeah, that's what I'm curious to see as you guys move forward is how the strategy can evolve. Because like you said, I mean, if it's just create as many troops, overwhelm the enemy, move on to the next level. If it's that way for the whole entire game, that kind of goes against the whole spirit of strategy, right? In the game.
Yeah.
So I would assume that it's going to be evolve or die as you guys move through. But I'll be curious to see how that plays out. Also on your stream was a strange glitchiness to the stream that you guys were doing.
Yeah, we didn't
on your end only. I think it was.
Yeah, we didn't have that with the first stream, so I'm gonna just chalk that up as to a network issue. But for whatever reason, and I can't tell if it was trying to sync up with Frankie's game. But what would happen is I would go to make a move, or I would try to move my characters or move the screen around the map, and the game would hitch up, like it would just freeze on that still. Where I was at, and then it would just continue on. Like I could hear everything, I could talk to Frankie, but it would just kind of freeze up. I think it was a syncing issue, so I'm going to chalk it up to that because the first stream I didn't have any issues whatsoever playing cooperatively. So I'm just assuming it's a one-time thing, like an anomaly that we can get past, and hopefully we won't see it going forward.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. Have you ran into that, not just cooperatively, but when you're playing by yourself, have you run into any other issues or anything like that along the way?
Nope, not at all. I mean, it was really strange. Yeah, I played it cooperatively, or I played it solo on the Xbox One, never had any issues. So like I said, I'm just going to chalk that up to a network issue between Frankie and I, and like I said, it didn't happen the first time, so I'm not expecting it to happen again. I did play it on PC, and
really?
It runs really, really good on PC. And I can definitely see the advantage of having a mouse and keyboard, even though it's still, for somebody who's new to RTSs, the mouse and keyboard setup is still just as overwhelming as trying to learn it on a controller. So I guess it's not all that terrible if you're new to it all. But it definitely runs really, really good on PC.
Yeah, it's a cool looking game. I'm enjoying watching you guys playing it, so I'll be watching as you make your way through it.
And then let's jump into the big title that we've been playing this week, and that's Ghost Recon Wildlands. The open beta opened up to the public. You're able to play it from, I think it was Thursday until Sunday. We hopped in and did a live stream of the open beta. Went through pretty much all the same missions that we did the first time around. We didn't get to explore the new area that was opened up for the beta. I mean, I don't know. I don't think we did at all, did we?
No, we didn't step foot into the new area.
Yeah.
The first beta had there's 21 provinces in the game. One of them was open for us during the closed beta. During the open beta, they've opened up a second province, and we haven't stepped foot in that one yet.
Right. Yeah, we haven't We haven't even done that yet. So we just went through and played through the same story missions that we played through the first time around. We just kind of wanted to get a feel for the game again, see what kind of tweaks have been made since the closed beta that we were in. And I don't know, boys. Like I thought about it for a while, and I think this kills me to say it. This really hurts me to say this, but I'm gonna pass on Ghost Recon Wildlands at launch. Whether this is something I can jump into a little bit down the road is a possibility. But look, I've played quite a few Ghost Recon games. I think Future Soldier was a fantastic game. I thought that was a really, really good game. But for whatever reason, when I play Ghost Recon Wildlands, it doesn't feel like a Ghost Recon game. There are Ghost Recon tropes in there. There are some elements that are very reminiscent of a Ghost Recon game, specifically the cooperative elements, working together, planning out your strategy. I mean, there's a lot of good stuff in the Ghost Recon Wildlands beta that stands out as Ghost Recon. You know, we saw it on a couple of missions. When you were overlooking that Unidad base, you were taking out the snipers in the towers, and I was making my way into the compound. And that part of it is very much Ghost Recon. But I don't know what it is with the controls, the cover system, the vehicle controls, the aircraft controls. It's very off-putting. You know, when I play a game like Ghost Recon, I expect there to be certain elements. I want this to feel like a Ghost Recon game. And this just, I don't know what went wrong with these controls, and I'm probably in the minority. I mean, I've seen a lot of people on Twitter saying they love the beta, and I'd love to hear from you. If you're able to play the Ghost Recon beta and you didn't have any issues with the controls, I would love to hear from you. We want to hear from you. Send us an email, podcast@shortpause.com, or hit us up in the comments below. Let us know your thoughts on the Ghost Recon beta, because I think the controls in that game are just not good, boys. I mean, am I wrong to think that way? I mean, it seemed like every time we were driving on a slab of ice. The aircraft controls are not intuitive at all. It's just the controls are a major letdown so far in these last two betas, and with a week until launch, we're basically playing the final product here. I mean, everyone always says it's just a beta, dude. When Rainbow Six Siege entered its last beta, and when it launched the following Tuesday, guess what? It was the same damn game, and then the tweaks came throughout the course of the game. Game being out. But, boys, help me out here, man. Am I out of line with these controls?
No, I think you and I kind of see this game the same way at this point. I said this when we played the last beta. I mean, we've put a good, 3, 4, 5 hours into this game now between the two betas at least, over the course of the closed and the open beta. So we have a decent amount of time in this game to at least have some kind of an opinion on how it plays at this point. And I said this during the closed beta. I said it again during the open beta. Why doesn't this game use the Division's cover system? I just don't get it. The Division is another Tom Clancy game, and for my money, despite the problems that the Division has and the issues that it's been battling since launch, the cover system in that game is about as perfect a cover system as you can get for a third-person shooter. Excuse me. So, I mean, the way you snap the cover, the way you move from place to place, the way you kind of crouch down and get over cover, like, it all just works really, really well for a third-person shooter. And I just don't know why in a game that's so reliant on stealth and is so reliant on taking cover and your cover mechanics, like, why you wouldn't just take this system, this excellent system that you designed in the Division, and just put it into Ghost Recon.
Right.
And I understand that the developers want to make their own system and all that stuff, but the system they have in this game is woefully inefficient when compared to the Division system.
Right. So
you've gone ahead and you've tried to make your own thing, but you've made something that's deficient when compared to the Division in every single way. So it's, you can't switch shoulders. You have to move back and forth in the cover to switch shoulders.
How is this a third-person shooter where you can't switch shoulders and you can't? There's no snap cover system.
I mean, unless we're just ignorant of the shoulder swapping button. Like I said, we've played this game for 5 hours now, and I still haven't found the button. So, yeah, oftentimes you're in you're on a piece of cover that's tight quarters, so it's not easy for you to move around back and forth to get your shoulders switched. So you're trying to get your shoulders switched. You're trying to lean out over cover, and then your guy's either not leaning out, he's looking at the cover,
right.
He's not leaning where you're trying to shoot. So, yeah, the cover system is just, it needs work. And for a game that's so reliant on that mechanic, I just don't understand why.
It's very strange. And, Future Soldier had a fantastic cover system. It was a Ghost Recon game, and it felt very much like that. But it's just like when you're on mission, it feels like a Ghost Recon game with the exception of the cover system. But because this world is so big, you have to travel. You can't run to every objective. There's just no way. Everything's like over a kilometer away. So you have to utilize the vehicles. And the driving in this game is just off. Flat out off. And I mean, I understand, different cars handle differently. This is off. I mean, this is way off. I mean, if I want a driving simulator, I'll go play a driving simulator. This is Ghost Recon. Just let me get into a vehicle. My guy isn't some noob that just got his driver's license. He's a ghost. He probably knows how to handle every vehicle ever made. So why on earth this guy can't drive from one objective to the next is beyond me without acting. I mean, we're in it looks like it's 90 degrees where we're at, and this car handles like it's on ice. All the cars handle just terrible. And then don't get me started on the flying. Okay, don't get me the flying is the most baffling. In every game that I've ever played that has flying, both sticks come into play. Both sticks come into play. The left stick is to go up and down, and the right stick controls the pitch and yaw. And it's just like everything is on the left stick. Everything. The right stick simply controls the camera. You can't do anything else with the right stick other than the camera, which I don't get whatsoever. I mean, we had that one mission where we had the chopper had the machine guns on him, and I was like, oh man, I'll just take out this convoy, and I'm sitting there trying to aim with one stick and shooting, and I'm like. I look like Arnold Schwarzenegger in True Lies, just blasting everything except the target. When he's in the Harrier jet and he's just wasting buildings and everything. That was me shooting the wall, the side of the mountain. I'm shooting civilian vehicles. I shot everything but the convoy because it's absolutely impossible to aim with that. Now I understand if you want to make the game difficult, where you have to master the controls. Like I've seen guys on Battlefield 4. Where I hop into a helicopter and it's a disaster. I'm going to kill the entire unit that's with me. But I've seen guys run the field with the helicopter because they've practiced at it. I can't see how anybody can practice with these controls with the helicopter at all. Yeah. Like with everything on one stick, I just don't get that.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I was terrible at flying. I mean, I ran into a mountain, just smashed into things repeatedly, couldn't figure out how to even move the helicopter. At one point I was just stagnant, wasn't even moving. I was like, how do you make this thing go?
No idea.
So it's very difficult to control. I played the role of Tom Arnold in True Lies. I just kind of watched and laughed as you just blew up the mountainside as opposed to the convoy that we were trying to tackle. But it's and I'm not an expert in vehicle handling and that kind of stuff. Like I love Gran Turismo and games like that, but I'm not like a gearhead. Like I don't really understand all that stuff. I just think those games are fun to play and try to master. So I don't know if Ghost Recon is trying to do a realistic interpretation of driving, like if that's what they're going for here, because this is a realistic game. But to me, in a game like this, in a game that's this large, in a game that should be fun, it's even though it's Ghost Recon, this game has an element of the fantastic in it. It has an element of like Just Cause in it as well, with some of the stuff that you're able to get into and do. So I feel like the vehicles and the aircrafts and the bikes and everything that you get your hands on in this game from a vehicle standpoint should have an arcadey feel to it. It should be fun for you to drive from point A to point B, because like you said, this, I don't know what the statistics are in this game, but this has to be one of the largest maps ever created in a video game. I mean, just in this one province here that we're in, that we haven't, like I said, we haven't even gotten to the second one that they opened up. There's so much in this one province to do. I know games like The Witcher and things like that are enormous games, but this game is gigantic, and there's 21 of these places, and if the other 20 places are as densely populated as this one that we've been in, this is a just massive game map that, man, it's going to take forever to get to. And that's something else about the game too, is this isn't even something I even want to attempt to play solo. No. It's like the game is so big, and it seems to be so reliant on team tactics, even though the cover system doesn't do you any favors in that regard. But it seems to be so reliant on team tactics. I'm not sure if I want to go through this game with some AI companions. Like I really have no desire to play this game outside of a cooperative setting. And the fact that the game is so large, like if I were to just sit down and turn that game on by myself, I'm just be like, man, this is overwhelming. I'm just gonna go play Resogun again.
Right.
So that's another part of it as well. But yeah, I don't understand why the vehicles don't have an arcadey feel. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, and the best comparison I can make to this game, I feel like this is more of a Grand Theft Auto open world than it is a Ghost Recon one. I mean, the missions are very much Ghost Recon, but even Grand Theft Auto 5. Grand Theft Auto, the series, has a reputation of having some shoddy controls with their vehicles. And I feel like the vehicles in that game handle better than the vehicles in this game. And, and it's just...
I mean, the slightest touch in your car is, like, off the road.
Yeah. If you try going in and out of traffic, you're screwed. You're tailgating everywhere.
You're off the mountainside.
Yeah. And you can't have that, especially in some of the missions where you're chasing down vehicles. I want to be able to catch these guys. I understand if you want to make a lot of traffic that I have to maneuver around, that's awesome. But if I'm trying to maneuver around and I'm doing a good job at that, but the physics are way off, dude, that's going to lead to frustration more than fun. And, if I want that kind of silly gameplay, I'll go play Grand Theft Auto 5 with a couple friends. I can get that here. This is Ghost Recon. I expect a tactical element to this game in all aspects, not just when I'm on mission, but in between missions, going around the map and all that stuff. And it just feels like outside of these missions, this game is mechanically just a disaster in terms of gameplay.
Yeah, it's a shame too because it really does have so much potential.
Oh God,
and,
yeah.
Like I said, just a massive world, just a fun concept. Like going into this foreign place, trying to take out this drug cartel. Cooperative team tactics are in play in all these missions and the things that you have to go through. Like, it should be fun to steal helicopters and sports cars and jets and take them to their destinations and all that kind of stuff. But, it's just like we're fighting against the controls, and the vehicles, I can't stress this enough, are a huge part of this game because this map is so gigantic. So you're always in a car, you're always in a helicopter, you're always in a plane or on a motorcycle trying to get from point A to point B or escape from a compound when your plan goes awry, and you alert the guards and everybody's after you, like, oh, we got to get out of here. So let's hightail it into a jet and get out of here. It's like you're always in some kind of a vehicle, and for that not to feel good, to feel like the game's fighting against you anytime you're in a vehicle, really takes a lot away from this game. And it's unfortunate. It
is, and that's why I'm going to be skipping it at launch. We've got a lot of stuff coming out this week. We're going to get to the new releases right now, but it's just I can't. I don't feel like this is worth the $60 at this time. I'm going to wait to see the reviews. I'm going to wait to see, especially what my friends say. There's a couple of guys that I trust with cooperative games and such, and I love playing. And that's all they play. And even they're just not sold on this after the beta. And I trust their opinions on the game, and we're all in kind of agreement that this just does not feel like a Ghost Recon game. So I'm going to sit out for launch. Maybe it's something I'll jump in down right if they can tweak some stuff and if the controls are improved upon. But I'm skipping this at launch, dude.
Well, here's my question, man. And you alluded to this a little bit at the beginning of this discussion, but I've heard some good things about this game. I've read some people say good things about this game. So if this game comes out and critically it's successful and it has good scores across the board, are you going to rethink your decision? Are you going to start to second guess yourself and be like, what did I miss when I was playing this game? That I need to go back and try to remedy that, or what?
Dude, if the reviews come out and they're like, oh my God, the control scheme is completely improved over the beta and that's why we're giving it a high score, then yes, I might be more inclined to do so. But if they're coming out and just saying the controls are, if the reviews say the controls are not very good, but this game is really fun, sorry, I'm not getting that game. Dude, if the controls are the same from the beta, no, I'm not picking it up. It's just I can't do it. They're not good.
I mean, they're going to be the same. There's no way they're going to change in the week before release.
Right.
So it is what it is at this point, I think.
So even if the reviews come out glowing, but there's unless they mention some major tweaking to the controls, like adding the right stick into flying aircraft, which I just don't see them doing right away, Unless that happens, no, I'm not picking this up.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, like I told you before, my thing with this game is I was gonna play through it cooperatively. Like I feel overwhelmed going into it from a single player perspective.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're gonna pass on this, I'm gonna end up passing on it too.
Mm-hmm.
And that's okay. Like you said, there's a lot of big games that are out and are coming out this week. So if we hold off on Ghost Recon, I'm not gonna cry myself to sleep at the end of the night.
Nope. Let's get into these new releases, boys. We've got this dude. This might be one of the biggest weeks in gaming in a long time. I mean, it really, really might be. Since the launch of the Xbox One and PS4, this is probably one of the biggest weeks ever.
No question. Not only there's a lot of titles coming out, but it's the quality of the titles that are on this list that we're going to talk about here that is going to make this go down in history as probably one of the best weeks. Not only, I don't think there's any question this is probably going to be the best week in gaming of this year, but this is going to be one of the best weeks in gaming of all time when all is said and done, probably. So let's kick things off with the PlayStation releases and a very, very big title at the top of this list, Brent, and that's Horizon Zero Dawn. And, there was an early embargo on this game. It was Monday earlier this week, so a full week and some change ahead of when the game actually releases. Always a good sign when you're confident enough to put the embargo up at that time. I think it was a really smart move by Sony as well, due to the fact that the Switch is launching this week and Zelda is going to be launching with it. So this gives Horizon, a full week kind of ahead of and gets it outside of the hype machine that's going to be Nintendo, and lets the fact that this game scored and was received extremely well. So it lets that kind of set into everybody, and it gets everybody talking. For a couple of days there this past week, Horizon was the only thing anybody was talking about. So this is a game we've been looking forward to for a long time. Not surprising to me at all that this game scored well. Previews for this game have been fantastic. People have been talking this thing up every time they are able to get their hands on it. We've been looking forward to this game for years now, for years and years. Guerrilla's put their heart and soul into this game over the last 6 or 7 years. And by all accounts, it sounds like this thing turned out fantastic, man. I can't wait to get my hands on it. It's it's a new open world RPG franchise exclusive to Sony. So this is a huge get for them, and it's really cool that Guerrilla was able to transition from the Killzone franchise and go in the complete opposite direction with an open world RPG and have it come out as successfully as it did. So I mean, I can't wait to play this thing, dude. It's coming out Tuesday. Not grabbing the digital copy. I'm grabbing the physical one, so I'll be there on Tuesday. Won't be there at midnight.
Yeah.
But Tuesday, I can't wait to get home, pick the game up, fire it up that evening, and start my jaunt through Horizon. Talk to me, man. Horizon Zero Dawn.
Well, I mean, you pretty much said what can be said up to this point. I mean, obviously this game is reviewed very well, and the thing that really has just stood out to me this week that I'm so impressed about is obviously the review scores are through the roof and it's widely acclaimed, but I just love the respect that Guerrilla is getting for this. I mean, if you look at Guerrilla games, they've been basically Killzone, and then I think Vietnam Shell Shock 67 or something like that.
Yeah, when I looked at their history, I was surprised that I had no idea they did that game. I was like, that's where they kind of started, huh? Okay.
So you look at Guerrilla, and they're just basically just been a shooter studio. And the Killzone franchise, which I have enjoyed, never evolved into the Halo killer it was supposed to be. I mean, it's sold.
I've also really enjoyed Killzone.
Yeah.
Killzone 2 in particular was actually one of my favorite PS3 games.
Yeah, I mean, this is how I feel. But I mean, Killzone 1 I didn't really care for at all. Killzone 2 I loved it. I loved the story, and I thought the multiplayer was really good. Killzone 3, I thought the story was okay, but I loved that Malcolm McDowell did the voice work in that one. But the multiplayer in Killzone 3 was fantastic. I thought Killzone 3 multiplayer was great. Then you got Killzone Mercenary, which was obviously Guerrilla Cambridge, but still a very good Killzone game. And then Shadowfall, which was kind of a launch title, but I didn't really care for Shadowfall. But in the grand scheme of things, this has been a shooter studio that has delivered a beautiful-looking shooter. I mean, no one will ever question Guerrilla's ability to create a beautiful-looking game that runs fantastic. But, the Killzone stories were never really renowned, considered like narrative masterpieces, but not by a long shot. Yeah. But to see Guerrilla branch out into an open world RPG, action RPG, where its story is a major highlight amongst all reviewers. I mean, every review, I've tried to read as little as possible, but the story is always at the forefront of these reviews. To see Guerrilla just branch out like this is nothing short of a major feat. It's very, very impressive to see a studio like this whose pedigree is solely first-person shooters. And to come around and deliver a game like this to the type of praise it's received is nothing short of amazing. And it's really nice to see a developer like Guerrilla, who's kind of always been in the shadow of the Naughty Dogs, or even when Insomniac was creating their first-person titles. You know, Guerrilla's always been there, but they've never been, like, there. Now they've arrived. Guerrilla has made the front lines, and it's with a game that's not even close to a shooter. So I think that's the most impressive thing about it. And I think that's one of the coolest things. It's just all the love that Guerrilla's gotten this past week for being able to branch out and create something completely different than what they're used to.
Yeah, dude, I'm with you 100%. I think it's awesome that they were able to do that. In fact, I believe they had to splinter off an entire new team. Like, this is a new team that they put together to work on Horizon. I think they're 2 teams deep at Guerrilla now. So they created it. They brought in people from The Witcher, I believe, from that series to help, you know, put together the narrative and form the world of Horizon Zero Dawn. So yeah, just kudos to them, man. And you know, we've seen this a little bit from Sony too, where they're letting their studios kind of get outside of the established norm. You know, we see Naughty Dog step away from Uncharted to make The Last of Us. You know, the best damn game of all time. So when you go to these studios, these infinitely creative studios, and they're like, hey, I have an idea for the game. You know, it's outside of what we normally do, but it's a really, really fantastic idea. We'd like to pitch you. And then they greenlight stuff like that. Like, that's awesome. I mean, these developers love that stuff, that they can go out and have the ability to create something like Horizon and get outside of the Killzone universe.
Yep.
We're going to see it with Sucker Punch. We're going to see it with their next game. You know, all the rumors point to them stepping away from the Infamous franchise and creating a brand new IP. So whether that's, you know, in a completely new genre or not, I don't know. But, you know, and that's, like you said, that's the most impressive thing about Horizon Zero Dawn. You know, The Last of Us is in the same genre of game that Uncharted is in. It's a much different game, but it's the same genre. This is Killzone and Horizon are like polar opposites.
Right.
We've got a first-person corridor shooter as opposed to an open-world RPG that you know could take you 40, 50, 60 hours to get through. So it's supremely impressive that they've been able to do that, and yeah, just want to you know, shout out Sony for letting them do that too, for letting them have faith in their first-party studios to let them spread their wings and fly. And you know, I think that's why a lot of these first parties like working there. They get to do stuff like this. So you know, and I can't wait to see what Sucker Punch has on the horizon, and I can't wait to see what Naughty Dog does in the future in all of these places. So it's exciting, man. And I'm pumped to get my hands on Horizon, man. Been waiting for this game for a really, really long time, and it sounds like it's really special.
Indeed, it does. And like I said, it's just, you know, you see the reviews, and now it's to the point where I don't want to read any more reviews. I don't want to see. I just want to play this game for myself and experience it for myself and find out if it's really just as good as they say. So we'll find out Tuesday, man. I'm really excited for it.
Definitely. So Horizon be out this Tuesday. The digital download, I believe, the preload is live now.
Yep.
So if you log into your system or if it's already set up, it should be downloading it now. So those of you that have the digital version will be ready to go live at midnight on Monday. Also this week, Brent, the game that we'll be firing up on the Thursday Night Indie Spotlight is Forma.8. I'm not sure exactly how to say this. If it's Forma 8, if it's Forma.8, whatever it is. I'm guessing this is the name of the little drone that you play as in the game. But this is a very, very cool looking Metroidvania game. Supremely atmospheric. The graphics look incredible. Really love the art style of this game. It has, and it's. I feel like this is an overused thing, but it kind of has that Limbo look to it. But it doesn't. It almost has like a more animated look to it. You know, it's clean lines, kind of sharp, modern aesthetic to it. But it's got that dark, like Limbo vibe to it that you can see in some of the enemies and some of the environments that you go through. So this game just came out recently on the Wii U and the Xbox One this week. It's hitting the PlayStation 4 on Tuesday. So I'm gonna grab it on there. I'm gonna fire it up on the Spotlight on Thursday. So the Indie Spotlight every Thursday night, 10 p.m. Eastern. It's on our Twitch channel, Short Pause Live. We fire up an indie game, play it for a little while, see what it's all about, and I'm really looking forward to Forma.A, man. Have you seen much of this game? It's also cross-buy with the Vita, which is awesome. This game's probably going to be sweet on the Vita, too. But Metroidvania game, moody, atmospheric, like that's all you got to tell me, and I'm there.
Yeah, I watched the trailer. I thought it looked pretty good. And the fact that it's cross-buy with the Vita, that actually might push me over the edge before I even watch the stream. But, but you basically summed it up. And this is a very cool-looking game, and I'm very intrigued. And I'll be watching Thursday night if I don't already buy the damn thing.
Yeah, I've been looking forward to this one for a while. It's been trying to come out for a little while now. So finally made it out this year, and I'm looking forward to getting my hands on it, man. So we'll fire that one up Thursday. Also this week, Torment: Tides of Numenera. This is that it's like a PC style RPG. It almost looks like Diablo in the way that it plays, but it's more RPG as opposed to like dungeon crawly, I think. And I guess this was a huge success on Kickstarter. This kind of follows in the footsteps of Planescape Torment, which I don't know if it was in the same universe. I'm not familiar with the Torment universe that this is based on. But I think this universe exists outside of video games. I don't know if it's a book series or a tabletop game or what it is exactly, but this Torment universe exists somewhere outside of video games, and they obviously have a strong presence inside of games as well. But yeah, this Kickstarter raised something like $5 million, if I remember correctly.
Wow. And
was a big success for them. So this game's finally making its way out. I don't know, this looks like something you might get into, Brent. It kind of has that Wasteland look to it, or games of that ilk. Hey, have you seen much of this one?
I just watched the trailer.
Yeah.
And I mean, it looks cool, but it's just not at this time.
Well, yeah. I mean, this is a terrible time for it to come out, but it does look like something that has some potential that could be cool down the line.
Yep.
So we'll see how that one turns out. The Incredible Adventures of Van Helsing Extended Edition, another game that's been out for a while, been out on the PC, been on the Xbox One, making its way over to the PlayStation now with the Extended Edition. They've added a few things here and there. Obviously, it's got trophies, some of the PlayStation features like remote play, and they've added a few things to the game as well here and there. But I always thought this was a cool looking game too. I love the Van Helsing kind of vibe. It reminds me of Castlevania. I don't know if this is related at all to Van Helsing, that movie, or if that's related to this game, or where these universes come from, whatever. But I like that Castlevania, Gothic, monsters, Frankenstein, all that kind of vibe is always really, really cool. So this one looks pretty cool. It's a hack and slash, like action RPG game. It's one I'd like to fire up at some point as well. Ghostblade HD is a shoot 'em up. Looks like just old school shoot 'em up. Actually looks really good. That one's coming out this week. A King's Tale, Final Fantasy 15. This was the side-scrolling beat-em-up that was, I guess it was a pre-order bonus for people that got Final Fantasy 15. I guess it fleshes out the King's story a little bit from the game, but it's a side-scrolling brawler, which is kind of interesting. But that'll be out on Wednesday. WRC6, the rally racing game, is out on Friday on the PS4 this week. Grim Legends: The Forsaken Bride. It's another one of these hidden object, puzzle games, if you're into those. Dying Reborn, coming to both the PS4 and the PSVR. A first-person psychological horror game, from what I can tell about it. You seen much of this one?
I watched the trailer, and it looked a little rough. But I'm still wondering if they're able to capture the atmosphere because it looks like it takes place in a very creepy setting. There's some very creepy elements to it, and I do see some of the Saw similarities that they mentioned in the blog post. But overall, it does look a little bit rough. So the pricing on this will be dependent on whether or not I pick it up. If it's something like astronomical, then no. But it's got some potential. I would definitely want to play it in VR. Based on what I saw, if it was a PS4 only title and that's how it looked, I probably won't pick it up. But VR adds a level of interest to it.
That's the thing about this game. I don't know if the trailer they're showing was a VR trailer or if it was the actual PS4.
I hope it was the VR. I hope it was the VR trailer.
Yeah, I hope it was the VR trailer too. If it's the VR one, obviously those ones are difficult to put in trailer form. If that was VR footage, probably looks markedly different when you're inside the headset.
Right.
That's if it's optimized properly and all that, which we'll find out here. But don't know too much about that one. But it sounds like it has an interesting premise. Arcade Archives returning this week with Neo Geo NAM 1975. That's a Thursday release. The Walking Dead, the Telltale series, A New Frontiers. This is the season that's currently going on, hitting retail this week. So this will be another one of these season pass discs. The first 2 episodes are on there. The 3rd episode is coming out next month. So if you want to get the disc, this is something I really don't understand. Like, I don't understand the season pass disc. What in the hell is the point of this? I really don't get it. Why am I going to buy a disc with 1 episode on it and then download the rest of the episodes? Like, that just doesn't make any sense. But whatever. So that's a thing if you want to get into that. A game I feel like I've mentioned 3 or 4 times in a release list. It's on the release list again for this week, so fingers crossed it's actually coming out. And this is just a retail version of Pac-Man Championship Edition 2. It also includes the arcade game series, which has Pac-Man, Galaga, and Dig Dug with it as well. So nice trio of games to complement Pac-Man Championship Edition. On the DLC front, Brent, The Division's Last Stand DLC is coming out this week. I'll tell you what, man, going through Ghost Recon, I had a strange urge to go back and play The Division because I was like, man, that's a cover system done right. That's like the type of experience I want to have inside of Ghost Recon. If they could combine these 2 games, we could be on to something special here.
You could be.
But, yeah. But the Last Stand's coming out, so this includes the new Last Stand mode. It's got a new 8 vs. 8 adversarial mode, capture and defend tactical locations, unlock perks, and build fortifications for your team. First team to upload all data wins the match. So, sounds like it could be a cool mode.
Mm-hmm.
There's a new incursion that's included with this as well. So these are the big, like, raid type of things in the Division. I still haven't experienced one of these, so I don't know how these play out. But there's a new one of these included in this update. Patch 1.6 or Update 1.6 is also included with this. The full patch notes will be live on Monday, so as you're listening to the podcast, you can go ahead and download those and see what it's all about. But from what we know right now, there'll be some things with the Dark Zone, leaderboards. Some contamination events are being tweaked. Legendary mode, exotic weapons. Those are all the things that they're tackling in this Update 1.6. So like I said, as you're listening to this podcast, go check out the update on Monday and see exactly what they tweaked on that front. Any desire to return to the Division, Brent?
Nah, man. You know, I thought this was going to be a military Destiny, and that's what I really wanted it to be. But first impressions, it didn't deliver on all the promises I was kind of hoping it would deliver on. But you know, at this point, the Division is no longer a high priority or even a low priority.
Ship has sailed.
Ship has sailed, brother.
Yeah, as much as I wanna play it again after playing Ghost Recon, I'm with you, man.
It didn't grab me like the Destiny did, you know. And I don't know if anything ever will. Maybe that's an unfair comparison to make, but you know, when a game has a lot of Destiny elements to it and it doesn't grab you, something wasn't right. And considering it's a Tom Clancy game with a lot of the Tom Clancy elements that I like, it's a bummer.
This is kind of a recurring issue for Ubisoft games for me in particular. Is they create these amazing worlds, but they're always a little sterile to me. They're just, you know, they're realistic settings and that's great and all, but the characters they put in these worlds are just not very interesting.
No.
So, you know, the soldiers in the Division are interchangeable with the soldiers in Ghost Recon, which are interchangeable with the soldiers in whatever other Ubisoft game, Rainbow Six, you want to throw in there. They're all the same guys. They all talk the same way. They all got the machismo, testosterone, soldier talk that Ubisoft throws into every single one of their games. So you could literally take any of these guys and interchange them with any other Ubisoft game, and nothing would miss a beat. So I don't know if that it sounds silly to say that with Destiny, which is a game where your character doesn't even talk, but there's just something about it. It's like you create that character and you are that character, and just the world's just infinitely more interesting. Even though I think the concept behind the Division is extremely interesting. I think the concept behind Ghost Recon Wildlands is really interesting. But at the end of the day, it's just like, yeah, I mean, I know it's a realistic interpretation of what's going on, but it's a little sterile and it just doesn't have, you know, that intangible it factor.
Right.
You know, that kind of draws you in. So, also of note with this Last Stand DLC is the very strange Xbox exclusivity with this was only for the first 2 DLC packages.
Yep.
So this one is now coming out concurrently across PC, Xbox One, and PS4. So a little strange why it was only the 2 DLCs, but you know, whatever. So that's coming out day and date on all 3 platforms. Final Fantasy XIV: The Far Edge of Fate getting patch 3.55A, and it's 3.55A because there is a B patch there's something else they discovered in there that they have to patch out. So there'll be another patch a couple weeks in that kind of fixes this kind of late bug they found in this game. But I won't go through all the patch notes here. If you're not into Final Fantasy 4 or 14, you probably don't care. But if you are into this game, get ready to download that. I believe it goes live on Tuesday. Either Monday or Tuesday, you'll be able to download that. So look out for that patch. Hopefully it downloads on my system. I don't have to, manually switch between servers like I did before.
Right.
That was a pain in the ass. A couple other notes here I wanted to note from this past week. Titanfall 2's live fire mode is available now. And Here They Lie was updated with PS4 and PS4 Pro support.
Mm-hmm.
So you can play this game outside of VR, and it has Pro support.
Yep.
It has Pro support inside of VR as well.
Mm-hmm.
Brent, you hopped into this momentarily, right? Any read on how this game plays now with the new update?
I was actually able to play for quite a while in VR, and
Okay.
it's still not the cleanest image of compared to like a lot of the other VR games, but it does look a lot better, and I was able to play quite a bit more without suffering my VR meltdown. It still affected me, but I think this is just something that's going to reoccur with just about every VR game where you're moving around like in a first-person perspective. But no, it did look a lot better. And then I played it for maybe like 30 seconds. I just fired it up real quick, but I had to leave. I played it, without VR, and the image quality was much, much better, obviously. So it looked good, but I wasn't able to play much to really get an idea of how much better it runs with the Pro enhancements without VR.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, if you get a chance to hop back into that one of these days, I'm curious to learn more about it. I want to know if this update really changed the game, because that was the biggest issue with the original game, right? Was just the technical issues with it.
Yeah, it wasn't a clean image, and like I said, the movement, something about the movement and just the image quality just really brought me down. Like I remember I did not feel good at all after playing that game.
I remember you telling me about
and I mean, I've played more VR since then, so maybe I've just become more acclimated to it, but it was a much better experience this time around, much better.
Yes, this was kind of a surprise. Kind of snuck up on us. They were like, "Hey,
Yeah.
it's coming out this Tuesday." They released it, so it's out there now. If you didn't know, for Here They Lie, go ahead and fire that up. So that's your PS4 releases. On the PS3, a strange one sneaking out is Suikoden 4, the PS2 classic. So this is not the new PS2 on PS4 program where they're bringing over PS2 games onto that platform with trophies and up-res graphics and whatnot. This is a PS2 classic being released for the PS3 in Suikoden 4. It's very strange. It's a game I know people have been waiting for, but I don't know why it's not coming out on PS4.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever. On the Vita, Forma 8 will be on there, of course. Once again, cross-buy with PS4. Stranger of Sword City Revisited. This was, I guess, was a successful title, and they're going back to with some of the tweaks and enhancements they've added to it.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're a fan of that game, look out for that. And Dying Reborn actually coming to the Vita as well.
Interesting.
Interesting that the title's going to be on there. On the Xbox side of things, Brent, we're going to start with the games with gold.
Ooh.
The games with gold for March have been revealed, and they include Layers of Fear, coming to the Xbox One. It's already on the Xbox One, but you can download it for free starting March 1st. That'll be available the entire month through the 31st. Evolve Ultimate Edition will be available March 16th through April 15th. On the Xbox 360, Borderlands 2 will be available the 1st through the 15th, and Heavy Weapon available the 16th through the 31st for the Xbox 360. And of course, with those games being part of Games with Gold, they'll be backwards compatible on the Xbox One as well. Brent, just real briefly here, what do you think about this list?
I think it's a nice lineup. Layers of Fear, while a very good in terms of its storytelling and its atmosphere, it was a decent horror game, but it suffered some technical issues on the PlayStation 4. I'm not sure if those are present on the Xbox One.
I believe they are. I believe it's the same type of experience on there.
Gosh, it was so disappointing, man. You got to that last chapter, and that thing just chugged. I mean, I didn't know what the hell was going on. There's a very active ending. There's a lot of stuff going on, and the system just could not handle. Like it was really hard to figure out what was going on. It chugged so slow. The frames dropped down. Those had to have been single digits. It was that bad. But overall,
curious how boost mode is going to play into that one.
I actually downloaded the game. I haven't fired it up yet, but I do have that downloaded, and I do want to check it out with boost mode. So
yeah, I want to hear what that one.
But no, Layers of Fear, it's good up until the ending. I mean, it's got a decent story, and it's very, very eerie, and there's some pretty good scares along the way to be had there. But Evolve Ultimate Edition, I thought was a really good game, but it just didn't get a fair shake with its DLC conundrum at launch, and the game never really survived from that. But I think I think everyone should download this game now that it's part of Games of Gold and go in there and jump in with 4 or 5 friends and play this game because it is really fun. If you get people who know how to play the roles, play as the monster, and there's a good time to be had with Evolve as well. Borderlands 2, awesome game. I mean, what can you say more about Borderlands 2? It's an awesome game. I don't know anything about Heavy Weapon. So good lineup, good strong lineup. Might be even better if Heavy Weapon's a great game, but I don't know much about it.
Yeah, I mean, I looked it up. It's kind of a middling title, so I don't in terms of the reviews. So, but obviously that doesn't mean anything could be great to a lot of people. But just from what I saw, it was kind of middle of the pack in terms of that. But I'm with you, man. I think it's a pretty strong lineup, and I'm with you on Evolve, man. I really wish that we could have all hopped in there, like the 4 of us, and really gone in there as a team. I think we would have had a great time with that game.
Mm-hmm.
I still maintain that the medic class in this game is just awesome. I loved playing as the medic. The ability to tag the monsters with weak points and to heal your teammates, to kind of snipe heal your teammates. I mean, there's some really cool stuff in the classes in this game. And I'm not so sure that they've just ruined the game at this point by giving everybody the trapper's abilities.
Yeah.
So that's kind of disappointing. I don't know how that all plays out, but yeah, that was the problem. They could never get the balance right between hunting the monster and actually encountering the monster.
Mm-hmm.
So occasionally, even playing with people that knew how to play the game, occasionally we would hop into there. And we just couldn't find the damn monster.
Right.
By the time we found him, it's 20 minutes later. The guy's level 3, he just waxes us in a minute, and that's just not cool. So they, that part of the game failed, but it's a really cool concept. And if you're playing with people that know how to play, or at least are willing to learn how to play that class, it can be a really, really fun time.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I've always wanted to jump back in there and get some more time with the medic one of these days.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. We'll see. That's your Games with Gold lineup. Once again, that's going live March 1st, so that's, Wednesday? Wednesday. You'll be able to start downloading the stuff, so be on the lookout for that. Also, if you're listening to this prior to this, make sure you download the Games with Gold for February, because they'll be going away on Wednesday. So be on the lookout for that. All right, the rest of the Xbox One releases for this week, Torment, Tides of Numenera, of course, coming to there. Ghostblade HD will be on the platform as well. Ikimo, Splinters of the Dark Shard, some kind of third-person action game. It's coming to the platform on Friday. The Pac-Man Championship Edition 2 retail disc is coming to the system alongside WRC 6. The Walking Dead retail edition is coming to the Xbox One this week, alongside, of course, the Division's Last Stand DLC, as we talked about earlier. Also of note, Titanfall 2's live fire mode live on Xbox One as well. Let's hop into Nintendo, Brent. For the last time, this list will be just the Wii U and the 3DS.
It's last time. Thank God.
So it's a moment of silence for the Nintendo section. What we missed last week on the Wii U, Vaccine. This is that homage to the first Resident Evil game on PS1. It's on the eShop now for $10. Placards, it's a $1.99 puzzle game. Maze Break's on there. It's like an Arkanoid type of game for $7. The N64 Classic, Harvest Moon 64, is available now via the Virtual Console for $10. Still waiting to hear if those purchases are going to transfer to the Switch. We'll just keep waiting on that. And Forma.8, available on the Wii U right now for $14.99 on the eShop, so check that one out. This week, of course, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild is coming to the Wii U. We all know that. We're going to dive into that in depth momentarily here. And then Ghostblade HD is on the Wii U as well. For the 3DS, what we missed last week was Go Go Coco Polo 3D. A very cool looking game, actually, on the eShop now for $5.99. This week, the 3DS getting Story of Seasons, Trio of Towns, which is like this RPG farming game. Looks kind of like a Harvest Moon type of a game. Several of these games on the 3DS right now, so this is the latest in the series, Trio of Towns, hitting this Tuesday. So, Brent, that's going to do it for the Wii U and the 3DS. But we got a new kid on the block now. Starting this Friday, the Nintendo Switch will launch March 3rd. Alongside The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild.
Oh my.
Take it away, my friend.
It's finally here, and we still know very little about the system, but the Nintendo Switch is launching this Friday alongside The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild and a plethora of other games that probably won't sell at all compared to the Breath of the Wild. But it's here, dude. There's no more waiting, and there's no more anything. I mean, it's on Friday. Actually, Thursday night, I'm going to go out and pick up my Switch. And I'm going to come home, I'm going to download Zelda, and I'm going to be ready to go. I've got a half day on Friday. I'm going to take the missus out to see Logan. I'm going to come home and play Zelda. I'm off Saturday. I'm going to play Zelda and Horizon. And then next Saturday night, we will all be back on this podcast, Bender, Frankie, Ben, and myself, and we're going to talk about the Nintendo Switch and The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. But let's jump into the Switch launch lineup. These are the games alongside Breath of the Wild that you'll be able to pick up on Friday. We've got 1-2 Switch. Fast RMX. Just Dance 2017. I Am Setsuna. Shovel Knight Treasure Trove, and the Spectre of Torment.
So now, correct me if I'm wrong on this, Brent, but this Spectre of Torment coming to the Switch first, is that how this is working?
That's how it's working. I'm not sure how long the deal's for, but yep, Spectre of Torment will be on the Switch before any other platform.
Gotcha.
Skylanders Imaginators. And a little surprise announcement, Snipper Clippers will be a launch title. And this is a game that Bender really enjoyed, and he's really excited that this is coming out on day one. So we'll be looking for his impressions next weekend. Super Bomberman R. And those are your launch titles, the big launch titles that are coming out this week for the Nintendo Switch. Now, there was, I believe, 3 independent titles from developer Tomorrow Corporations that were supposed to be out at launch. But some changes have been made on Nintendo's site, and right now it used to say coming out, on the 3rd. Now it says coming soon. When asked for comment, Nintendo confirmed. In addition to Fast RMX, Shovel Knight, Spectre of Torment, and Shovel Knight Treasure Trove, Day 1 digital titles on the eShop will include Breath of the Wild, 1-2 Switch, Super Bomberman R, and Just Dance 2017. No mention of World of Goo, Little Inferno, and Human Resource Machine. These are the 3 independent titles from Tomorrow Corporation. When they reached out to a statement was made by Tomorrow Corporation's Kyle Gabler. He told Polygon, "We hope we can make it. We're still just 3 people trying to launch 3 games on March 3rd, and it's going to be close." For reference, the Zelda team has approximately 2.9 billion people and a really fast horse, but we're close behind. Some say, save some champagne for us. Nintendo, we're going to be bloody and tired, and maybe not all 3 of us will make it alive, but we're going to get there, and the games will be stunning. So there might be a couple more titles. We're not really sure where World of Goo, Little Inferno, and Human Resource Machine, when those will actually drop. But those are some of the games that might be out. Another thing worth mentioning is The Binding of Isaac is no longer a launch title. Did they give a reason why this is, boys?
Nope, they gave no reason, so we don't know why.
Oh, okay.
It's probably just the growing pains of launching on a new system, I'd assume. I wouldn't anticipate a huge delay with Isaac, maybe a week or 2. Same thing with the Tomorrow Corporation's games. I don't see these being lengthy delays. They're trying to get the game out for launch. Like they said, there's just 3 of these guys, and there's only so much they can do to try and get these games ready for the Switch launch, and looks like they may miss the launch date by a little bit.
Now, Frankie's excited for his Nintendo Switch. Bender's excited for his Nintendo Switch. I'm cautiously optimistic for my Nintendo Switch. I'll be picking mine up on Thursday night. You're the only one here, boys, where we don't have a confirmation that you will be picking up your Switch. You have one pre-ordered, but we do not have 100% confirmation. Is this going to be a game time decision?
It could be. Right now the pre-order's still intact. It's through Amazon, so at some point, probably soon, they're going to withdraw my money and get this thing into a box and start shipping it to my house. So the deadline coming up to make a decision on this is coming very, very close here. So I remain torn on the Switch, and here's the thing. There's going to be there's a lot of hype behind the system, just like there is any time a new system launches. I mean, the Panasonic 3DO2 could be launching this week, and people would get excited about it because it's new hardware.
Right.
And so I'm excited about the Switch, just like anybody else in that respect. It's new hardware. It's kind of a new beginning. There's a lot of optimism that Nintendo is going to be able to kind of turn over a new leaf with this system and right some of the wrongs in their recent past. So all that stuff's exciting. But I still can't forget about everything that led up to this point. all of the things that they haven't done right still with the Switch, all of the things that I'm still concerned about, all of the things we still haven't heard about the online system. And I guess the one saving grace in that is that you don't have to pay for online till at least the fall.
Right.
So as they're kind of working this out, it's kind of strange though. It just feels like maybe the Switch just isn't even ready to come out yet. We see all these issues with the Joy-Con this week as well.
Yep.
So when the left Joy-Con is in the Joy-Con grip, it desyncs with the Switch console when in TV mode or tabletop mode or whatever they call that.
Mm-hmm.
So and that's been a recurring issue throughout many of the review units. I mean, the majority of the people that I've read have had that issue happen to them.
Mm-hmm.
So it's definitely a recurring issue. So hopefully that's something that won't be an issue at launch, and that's something they can patch or fix. But I have to assume they would have found this in a test. It's very weird that this would have came out in the actual like retail unit. But I'd have to assume that this isn't going to be a big deal. But just stuff like that, and the fact that we don't have any online system yet, we don't have any information about that. Just the system's kind of half baked at this point, and thank goodness that they have Zelda. That's going to kind of mask all of this, and it's going to get people excited about the game and wanting a Switch just for that reason. And I still maintain I'll be very surprised if anybody buys this system and doesn't buy Zelda.
Mm-hmm.
I will be shocked if somebody goes to the store and is like, "Give me the Switch and 1-2 Switch," and I'm out. I will be flabbergasted. So there's going to be people that do that though. There's going to be somebody that buys the Switch and buys one of these other games, and more power to them. Buy whatever the hell you want. But I just don't understand how you buy this system and don't buy Zelda.
Right.
So if this game doesn't have a 1-to-1 attachment ratio for these first 2 or 3 million people that buy this system, what the hell are you doing with your life? Where that wasn't a thing. But yeah, but dude, right now I'm gonna keep the Switch and I'm gonna roll with it. But there's still some things I'm concerned about with the system, and it's easy to get caught up in the hype of Zelda and in the hype of a new system. But when all of this stuff dies down, what are we going to be left with the system?
Mm-hmm.
I've said this before, but I play games differently now than I did in the past.
Mm-hmm.
Like right now, I want a system that's has a great lineup of social features that I can stream from, that I can have an achievement system with, that I can build a gaming identity on.
Mm-hmm.
Like I love doing that on the PlayStation right now.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I play my games on there, because that's the kind of experience that I want. And what the Switch is offering is not that right now.
Mm-hmm.
It just feels very, very half baked. And there's been some thought that they're obviously it's the end of the fiscal year. Nintendo wants to get their system out for the fiscal year. With Zelda, all that stuff makes sense. Zelda's ready to go. Let's get the system out now. Zelda's gonna push units. Let's go ahead and launch it. All that stuff makes sense now. But the system itself is it's not ready for prime time yet. There's still a lot missing on it, and there's still a lot of stuff that we need to know about it. But right now, man, I'm in on it. I'm gonna get the unit. I'm gonna get Zelda. I'm gonna get snipper clips too, because I think that from what I've watched of that game, looks awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So really like what I've seen of snipper clips. Probably out of the launch lineup outside of Zelda, that's gonna be the game I think that scores the highest and gets people the most excited about the unit is that thing.
Mm-hmm.
So that one. I think we're looking at a $20 download with that, so I'll be grabbing that one as well.
It's not bad.
I bought a memory card for the system already.
Yep.
So they had a sweet deal, man. Amazon had this customer appreciation sale or something the other day,
Yeah.
and they were giving a certain amount of money off purchases, and they had a 200 gigabyte SD card on there for like $60. So I swiped it. So I'm ready on that front. Got my Pro controller pre-ordered, which sounds like is a must.
Yeah.
If you're playing this thing in. That's the other thing I'm concerned about too, man. What does this thing feel like when you're playing it in handheld mode?
Mm-hmm.
Because if the Joy-Cons feel weird when they're in the grip, aren't they then going to feel weird when they're connected to your screen?
Mm.
Isn't that like a logical conclusion to make? But maybe not. Maybe it feels great. But I'm curious how the handheld mode feels. But it's tough to get a read on the system right now in terms of how it fares, in the TV versus the handheld mode. That's another thing I'm concerned about, is what is the TV experience going to be like. My gut feeling right now is this thing's going to excel as a handheld first. Maybe the TV experience is not going to be up to par. I hope I'm wrong on that, but I haven't been able to tell one way or another. The official Switch reviews go live on Wednesday, so we'll be able to see the reviews for the system. Zelda reviews will go live on Thursday. So I don't mean to keep rambling on here, man, but but right now I'm gonna get the Switch, so I'm in.
All right, well that's good. I'm gonna be Mr. Positive here. I'm actually really excited. There's a lot of things we don't know, but I'm a tech whore, and that just trumps everything. I've read a lot of the previews for The Legend of Zelda. I'm actually really excited for this game now. I mean, there's been a lot of good talk in these previews about The Legend of Zelda, and the fact that this game can be played on the go is probably the most appealing thing to me. I love the Vita. Okay, I love the Vita. There's some great games on there, but this is going to allow me to take a major console-like experience on the go and play it when I'm at work on my breaks and lunches. Or how many lunches do I need? My breaks and lunch. And that
explains a lot.
That explains a whole lot. But no, I mean, it's like I said, there's a lot of uncertainty about this device. I'm trying to focus on the positives, and I do like the way it looks. I've got the Pro Controller reserved. I'm not too concerned about the Joy-Cons and the Joy Grip. I honestly just plan on playing this either in handheld mode with the Joy-Cons attached, or with the Pro Controller on my TV. I don't really think I'm going to ever play with the Joy-Con grip. It's going to be the Pro Controller and then handheld mode for when I'm on the go. But no,
I was actually interested in the grip. I was contemplating not even getting a Pro Controller. I was like, the grip looks comfortable enough. Like, I wonder if when the things slide in there, like how that's going to feel. But it sounds like it's just not where it needs to be right now.
Yeah. So I'm cool with the Pro Controller. I'm not too concerned about the Joy-Con disconnects because I'm always going to be connected to the Switch either via the Joy-Cons on the Switch or through the Pro Controller. So I'm not too worried about any of those issues. But for me, The Legend of Zelda is the only one I'm picking up this week. I know Snipper Clips looks awesome, and a lot of these other games look really, really good too. And I'm sure there'll be fun experiences in their own right. But I'm just interested in Zelda because the way I'm looking at it is I'm going to play Horizon when I'm at home. When I'm upstairs with the kids, or if I'm upstairs just relaxing, I'll play Zelda. Or when I'm at work on my break and my lunch, I can play Zelda there. So, I mean, that's basically where I'm looking at. I'm not looking for any other experiences. These are two major titles that are going to be time sinks. They're going to take a long time to play through. So, I'm excited for the Switch. I've got mine pre-ordered. I'll pick it up. I only have a 128-gigabyte card, but, dude, I think we're both set because we got some Switch digital game sizes here for you. Just to give you an idea how big these games are. The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, 13.4 gigs.
Okay.
Not bad. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, which isn't out right away, but it'll be out shortly after, 7 gigs. Snipper Clips, 1.6 gigs.
All right.
Disgaea 5, 5.92 gigs. Puyo Puyo Tetris, 1.09 gigs. I Am Setsuna, 1.4. Dragon Quest Heroes 1 and 2, 32 gigs.
Oh.
There's the beefy one.
Important to know with that one, too. If you buy that one digitally, you have to have a memory card. It won't fit on the system.
I believe it.
So if you are planning to buy Dragon Quest Heroes and you want to buy your games digitally for the Switch, you need to have a memory card or it's not going to fit on the system.
Pro tip. Thanks, boys. And then Nobanagas. Nobanagas. Then I'm thinking about Bunga from the Lion Guard. Unbelievable, or whatever he says. What is it? Nobunaga Ambition, 5 gigabytes. So these games aren't as big as what you would see on the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One or PC, with the exception of Dragon Quest Heroes, but obviously that's 2 games. So you should be good if you get the 128, or if you got the 200, you'll probably be able to download the whole library of games at the end. So, but
I was eyeing the 128, but I saw the deal for the 200, and I was like, man. That's like a good price, man. I might as well get the 200.
Yeah, I had already had the 128, and I was just too lazy to do all the sending back stuff. So I was like, you know what? I'm good right now.
We gotta talk about The Legend of Zelda, man.
Okay.
So Breath of the Wild, the review embargo is not up yet, but the preview embargo is up. So we're starting to see luminaries from throughout the industry kind of weigh in with what they're seeing on the game here, and I don't think anybody's expecting this to be a bad game.
No.
There's never been a Zelda that's scored bad. So it wasn't like we were going into Breath of the Wild like, whoa, I bet this is going to be a 60 on Metacritic. Like nobody was thinking that. Like we all expect this game to be a great title, as all the Zelda games have reviewed in the past.
Mm-hmm.
But Breath of the Wild is teetering on hyperbole at this point. I mean, like I said, the game hasn't been reviewed yet, but some of the conjecture and some of the talk throughout some of these people is like I said, it's to the point where it's almost hyperbolic.
Yeah.
At this point in some of the things that they're saying about the game. So it's exciting to get to the to think that this game's coming out in the near future here. But man, the some of the talk, if you come out of this game and you don't think this is the best damn game you've ever played, like you're gonna be looked at as you're just a shithead. like what do you mean this wasn't the best game you ever played?
Right.
So the expectations for this game are really, really high.
Yeah.
This game sounds incredible, dude.
Mm-hmm.
This sounds like this is. I mean, they're saying that this could be the best game in the Legend of Zelda series, in a series that's produced consistently great games. The fact that this could be the best one that they've released yet is really, really exciting. I mean, how do you read the stuff about this game and not be excited to play this game now? So this just it sounds like it's shaping up to be an incredible experience. I would imagine the reviews would be no less than exceptional when they come out next Thursday. And this is something that's gonna, the launch systems, not so much. They don't need Zelda to sell launch systems, but after that, I think there's gonna be people that they're gonna be talking about this game. There's gonna be people that want to get their hands on a Switch to experience this game that everybody's going on about.
Mm-hmm.
So this is going to be a system seller for the future to them, and we'll see if it can drive the unit until Mario in the fall.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Now, we've got a couple other games that are on the docket, that later on this year. One of them is Skyrim. And right now, somebody asked Todd Howard of Bethesda which version of Skyrim is coming to Switch, and he simply said, "We can't say."
Why not, Todd?
Right. Obviously, there's the original version of Skyrim, and then there's the special edition of the game that included all the DLC and included graphical upgrades and mods for consoles. But right now, Bethesda can't say if you're going to get the special edition or if you're going to get the regular edition. So this is already just a mess with Bethesda and the Switch. I mean, if you can't tell us, it's supposed to come out in the fall, so what, 7-8 months from now this game's supposed to be coming out. They can't even tell us which one's going to be out on the Switch? Yikes. That's not good.
I mean, this has to be Nintendo.
Yeah.
Like, this has to be part of their agreement or whatever. They'd be like, look, we know we've got the quote-unquote regular version of Skyrim coming to the Switch. You just can't talk about that.
Right.
So it has to be a Nintendo mandate from them that they can't say this. But I mean, we can just use our common sense and just look at the hardware, look at the specs of the hardware, and just know that this is going to be the regular version of Skyrim. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, is that a logical conclusion to make?
I think
this
so.
Is going to be the 2011 version of Skyrim. Maybe they fix some of the textures or up-res it a little bit for the Switch software or hardware. Maybe the DLC is included. I could definitely see. I hope that that's part of the package, that the DLC would at least be included.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think this is going to be the fully upgraded special edition. I don't think there's any way.
No, I wouldn't be surprised if it was the 2011 version with like you mentioned, some visual upgrades and maybe some performance gains. But if they can't tell us which one it's going to be right now, I believe the special edition is almost just about off the table. So
yeah. Because you gotta imagine they'd be like shouting from the hilltop if that was the case.
That would be
like, we're getting the special edition.
Yeah.
You can take it on the go, the whole entire game, DLC, everything. Everybody be pumped.
We're 7 or 8 months from launch, according to the schedule of games coming out this year.
Mm-hmm.
I'm guessing the special edition is just about off the table.
Yeah.
Lego City Undercover gets a release date for PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and the Switch. It comes out on April 4th. The open-world Lego game first launched for the Wii U back in 2013. The modern version of the game features a co-op mode not found in the original. Did you ever play, I don't know anything about Lego City Undercover. This is an open-world game. Is this like a Grand Theft Auto version of, or a Lego version of Grand Theft Auto?
Yeah, it's an original Lego game. It was only on the Wii U, so it was
Mhm.
like a Wii U launch title. So I never got to play it. I heard some good things about it. It reviewed well. It always looked like a really cool game. I love the idea of a Grand Theft Auto like Lego game. That just sounds awesome. So really cool that this is coming to the PS or Xbox One and the Switch now. So I'm looking forward to this, man. I'd like to get this play with my kids.
There you go. Well, April 4th, you'll be able to do that.
Happening.
Couple things you won't be able to do at launch is play the Virtual Console. You won't have access
Man.
to a Virtual Console.
Straight to the gut on that one.
Nintendo statement said Virtual Console games will not be available on Nintendo Switch at launch. We will share more information in the future. So
Man.
sometime between now and 2019, we'll find out the fate of the Virtual Console on the Nintendo Switch.
Dude, that goes back to the half-baked thing again.
Yeah.
It's like Virtual Console. I mean, this is a staple of your business. It's a staple of what the core gamer wants out of your platform, and this thing's not ready at launch at all.
Yep.
And we don't know when it's going to be ready.
Hope it's not too long, dude. I really hope it's not too long.
I mean, could this be part of the fall official launch of their online service?
Oh,
like, could
man.
they dangle the Virtual Console carrot out in front of you? That would suck, but I could honestly see that happen. I could see this being drug out into the fall when they officially launch their online service, and they kind of do so on the back of the Virtual Console to kind of hype it up a little bit.
Right.
I could definitely see that.
Jeez. Man, I hope not. We also got some eShop details revealed ahead of the launch. Nintendo can confirm that the Nintendo eShop will be ready to go, complete with a lineup of downloadable indie games. To celebrate many of these upcoming Nindy creations before launch, Nintendo will host a Nindies showcase video presentation on Tuesday, February 28th at 9 a.m. Pacific time. Here's a couple other other details about eShop on the Switch that are worth noting. People who already have funds in their accounts on other Nintendo devices can access them using a shared wallet that works on Nintendo Switch as well. Once they link their Nintendo Network ID and Nintendo account, and then their Nintendo account to the Nintendo Switch system, this functionality becomes possible. Also, a news feature will offer updates about the latest additions to Nintendo eShop, as well as providing information about upcoming games and other updates from Nintendo.
Now that's the bullet point I'm particularly excited about, because does that mean we're going to get like a Nintendo blog post that has their games on it? It'll make it a lot easier when we do the release list. If I can have one spot to go to for the Nintendo stuff, that would be awesome.
Crossed. Fingers crossed. And to access Nintendo eShop, a system update that will be available on launch day is required. The system update downloads in the background, is designed to install quickly, and does not disrupt gameplay. So on launch day, you're going to want to download the system update so you have access to the eShop and whatever funds you may have in there.
Dude, that's the other weird thing about this is all these review units that they sent out of the Switch, none of the online functionality or eShop functionality is on the system.
Ugh.
It's all coming via a day one patch that unlocks this stuff. So the people that are reviewing the system, they can't even get into it and talk about it.
Dude, Nintendo's
really
doing a
strange.
lot to hide the online stuff, dude. They're not talking about it, and reviewers won't have access to it.
I think it's just because there's just nothing there. It's not ready for anything. I don't think. Well, I guess Bomberman and Snipper Clips. But I was gonna say there's not any games that really do online, but I guess those do. So they better have something ready to go.
And then claim your Nintendo account user ID for Nintendo Switch Now. You can actually follow a link. We'll put it in the podcast notes where you can click on the link, and it'll take you right to where you can connect your Nintendo account to your Nintendo Switch, and you'll be set to go come launch day. So make sure you do that. Again, check out the podcast notes. We'll have a link to that site.
This Tuesday, I don't know if it's considered a Nintendo Direct, but they're doing some kind of a showcase for their eShop games coming to the Switch this Tuesday.
Oh, okay.
So you can check that out on Nintendo's website as well.
Gotcha. And then some sad news. Nintendo of America co-founder Alan Stone has died at 71. Alan Stone, a long-time member of the games industry and one of the co-founders of Nintendo of America, has passed away. According to obituary, Stone passed away on Friday after a battle with cancer. Alan Stone co-founded Far East Video and with Ron Judy in order to bring Nintendo's early coin-op games to the U.S., introducing the likes of Radar Scope and Donkey Kong to an untapped audience. Following their success, he co-founded Nintendo of America and was involved with the development of the Nintendo Family Computer, soon to become the NES. In 1994, Stone left Nintendo and became the president and CEO of Sega Enterprises for over 10 years. He then went on to work at various companies in California, including time as COO of Nanotech Media. So our condolences to Alan's family and friends for their loss. Cancer, you know what they say, man, it's cancer. And anytime you lose somebody to that battle, it's always heartbreaking. But obviously, Alan Stone, a very integral part of Nintendo of America. And again, our condolences to everybody that's affected by this loss.
Yeah, condolences, man. I mean, we wanted to put this in here just to bring some attention. A lot of people probably don't even know who Alan Stone is. Mm-hmm. I certainly didn't. Mm-hmm. So to find out that he was an integral part of not only Nintendo of America, but bringing the NES over here, and basically because of Alan Stone, a lot of us are the gamers that we are today. Mm-hmm. So it's pretty wild to think about the kind of influence that he's had over this industry. A guy that nobody probably knows anything about. Like I said, I certainly didn't. So, yeah, condolences to Alan Stone, and he obviously played a big part in the future of video gaming.
Right. So, but hey, we're gonna take a quick break. We've got some more news to cover after this, but this is new music from Rual Ethan. Follow him on Twitter at Rual Ethan. Check out his music on iTunes and SoundCloud. We'll be right back. And welcome back. Thanks again to Rual Ethan for providing the music for this podcast. He does the opening, the closing, the intermission music. He's a very talented young man. Again, follow him on Twitter at Rual Ethan. Thank you again, sir, for providing the music for this podcast. It is greatly appreciated. Boys, let's talk some superheroes, man. What's going on in the world of superheroes?
Let's do it, man. So Marvel Games creative director Bill Roseman, he actually held a I don't know if he held a talk at DICE or he's got something coming up at GDC, but he was talking to IGN. He had some things to say about the Marvel games, and I think he's got some really interesting things to say. It's got me excited as a Marvel fan and as a video game fan. So I'm going to read a few quotes from Bill here. In terms of the games and the teams behind the Marvel games now, this is what Bill had to say. Quote, "We want to give developers freedom to tell their story, and we want to make it an original story. We want to give our partners freedom to look at all of Marvel history and to pick from what interests them. It's a bit like we're saying, hey, you're the chef. You're going to make this meal. Here's all of the ingredients. You pick the ingredients that you like and make a new meal." So what Bill is getting at here is that these Marvel stories in these games don't have to be tied into continuity. Mm-hmm. They don't have to be a part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Mm-hmm. They don't have to be a part of the Marvel comic book universe. And I think that's the way to go from a video game perspective. This is such a different medium than comic books, than movies. Mm-hmm. So I like that these creators are going to be able to get in here and tell their own kind of story, take their own stab at the property. I mean, you see how it worked for something like Batman with the Arkham games. they went in there, they created their whole own Batman universe, which had the characters that we know and love, but a few of them had their own unique spins on them, and it turned out to be just a phenomenal series of games. So I think that's the blueprint that they're going off with their Marvel games, and I'm all for that. So, while and the reason this all came up is because obviously Star Wars, which is also under the Disney banner, anytime you do Star Wars content, it's mandated that it's part of canon. So whether it's a video game or a book or a comic book or a movie or a television show or a cartoon, whatever it is, it all has to be canon as far as Star Wars goes. So I can't, suddenly decide to make a Star Wars cartoon that takes place after The Force Awakens and Darth Vader's alive, killing Jedis or whatever. Like that doesn't fit into the canon of Star Wars.
Right.
So I wouldn't be allowed to do that. So, and while that's cool and all, to think that, hey, this game I'm playing or this story I'm reading is an actual part of the Star Wars universe. Like I'm expanding the Star Wars universe as I'm engaging in this, and any piece of content I consume is a part of that. So I think that's got some advantages, and that's a cool concept in and of itself. But I personally, for the Marvel universe, like that they're taking this approach because Marvel already has a bunch of separate universes. The comic book universe is separate from the movie universe. The TV universe is separate from the comic book universe, which is kind of separate from the movie universe. It's like they've all got their own things going on. So I like that with the games, they're able to jump in here and tell their own original story as well. So I think that's the way to go. So Bill continues on here, quote, "We want all of our games to tell an original, all-new story. We want our development partners to have passion. We want them to put their stamp on the games. It's their game. We want it to be their vision." He goes on to further say, there's some good stuff in here. "We're not going to rush things. We're not going to get things out before they're done. We're also not going to try to do the very tricky balancing act of trying to make a game that adapts a movie and get it out in the same window as the movie." So awesome. We know how licensed things turn out when they're like shoehorned into these deadlines.
Right.
So great to hear that. And here's my favorite quote though: "We want every game to be game of the year. So we're focusing on each game at a time. We know that there are certain characters people are hungry for, but right now, we're just going to focus on getting those right." So, some good stuff from Bill there, and just to lay this out, how this is all playing out. Once again, Spider-Man by Insomniac, Guardians of the Galaxy by Telltale, Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite by Capcom, and the Avengers project, which is coming from Square Enix. Not to mention the Marvel games that they have from the Lego company as well.
Right.
When they make those games, those are also really good. So, I love what I'm hearing from this dude. Really, really excited about where the Marvel universe goes from here in terms of video games. As a longtime Marvel fan, as a Marvel kid, even more so than DC, this has me really juiced, man. What do you think about what Bill had to say here?
Well, anytime that you put your franchise, like your put the Marvel name out there, there's a level of expectation. There's an expectation of excellence, and I'm glad to see it because it's so easy for video game adaptations of licensed products are terrible. I mean, they're always just normally very very bad, with the exception of obviously the Arkham games and whatnot. But to hear somebody at Marvel saying, "Hey, look, we're treating these just like we do our movies. Okay, these things are going to be held to high standards, and that's what gamers can expect from these games. These aren't going to be just throwaway titles. These are going to be properly made, are excellent titles, and I think that's really good to hear. I like to hear that from a studio head, saying, "Hey, look, don't worry. These games are going to be awesome. They are going to be the focus on these is real. We're going to put our best effort forward for this, and I love hearing that."
Yeah. Just think about this, dude. What he's saying, like, we want every game to be a game of the year,
right?
Like they really want to take care of these characters and put care into these properties, and they really want to create good video games now. It took forever to get to this point, but we're hearing all the right things right now. We're seeing what appears to be all the right partnerships. I mean, an Insomniac Spider-Man game. How do you not get excited about that?
Right.
In an Avengers game from Crystal Dynamics. How do you not get excited about that?
Yeah.
Like, this is some really, really cool stuff, man. And this Telltale Guardians of the Galaxy game, this thing's probably going to be freaking awesome.
Yeah. And I mean, and that goes to show that he's serious. I mean, they're going to the best of the best studios to make these these games. They're not going to some second tier. I mean, they're going to Crystal Dynamics, Insomniac, Telltale, studios that have proven themselves to make quality titles, and that's who they're tapping for these games. And that just shows what that lends some credence to what he's saying about treating these games with care. And he wants Game of the Year contenders, and these are studios that can do that.
Yeah, dude, I'm so juiced. I'm like some of these games are probably far away, especially the Avengers game. But man, I just can't wait till these things see the light of day. And speaking of the Guardians of the Galaxy game, so also at this, I guess Bill was over at DICE 2017. He gave a talk on world building the Marvel way. So he also spoke about the Guardians of the Galaxy Telltale game and gave us some more hints about the game and how it's going to explore their relationship as a family and how that could be torn apart. So Bill said, quote, "We are really taking it seriously and focusing on each character. Who are they? What do they want? How are they a family? What could tear that family apart?" So I don't know. That's interesting, dude. What do you think about this idea of kind of exploring the thing that could tear the Guardians of the Galaxy apart and kind of explore what it means for them, for this kind of ragtag group of people to be a family? What do you? How do you think that's going to play out as a Telltale game?
Well, I know obviously it's something that it's still very mysterious, but if you look at the way they handled the Batman, the Batman series, I mean, they explored it from a different angle. They explored some different things that we haven't seen explored before, and that sounds like they're going to take that same approach with the Guardians, and that could lead to a very interesting story.
Yeah, definitely. And I actually haven't played through Tales from the Borderlands, but from what I understand, that's a really funny game, and it kind of has the vibe that you would expect from a Guardians of the Galaxy type of a game. So it sounds like if they take that experience and that type of vibe and transfer that into the Guardians of the Galaxy, like they could have a really successful game. So I think that one's got a lot of promise. We don't have a date on that one yet, do we?
No.
Is it April, May, I think we're kind of targeting.
Yeah.
Maybe. So maybe it was a leaked GameStop date or something that they have since rescinded. I think that's where I'm getting April from.
Gotcha.
But I think April wouldn't be a bad time for that team to roll out if they do eventually bring it out. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that, man. When it actually comes out. Now this next story, Brent. I didn't even know if I even wanted to put this in here, but I did, and we'll talk about it just as kind of as a fun thing. I'm not sure how much credence I put into this, but now I don't think it's shocking to hear that WB Montreal is working on a Batman game. We've heard that throughout the industry for years now. So we've heard that since Arkham Origins, they're toiling away on a Batman game. We know WB wants to do more with their Batman franchise. There's been talk that they wanted to annualize it at some point. So, and really the strong rumor recently has been that WB is seemingly close to unveiling a new Batman game, and it's said to star Damian Wayne, who's Batman's son, in the role of Batman in a new type of Batman game. Whether or not it's an Arkham game or not, or it follows a similar storyline, I don't see how it could be. Damian Wayne wasn't in any of the Arkham games, so this would have to be like a brand new Batman franchise. But that's been the rumor for a long time. It's been reported by people like Jason Schreier, who's obviously a reliable reporter who sources his information very, very well. So this next story we're going to talk about comes from Reddit, which is very, very hit or miss. So take what we're about to say with a gigantic grain of salt. And this is like back the dump truck up to the salt mine, dump the salt. And this is the type of salt that we're talking about here with this type of story. But over on Reddit, all right, this comes via WWG, Worldwide Gaming. They I'm going to get the information from them, but basically it came from this story on Reddit. And this is how it goes. According to this guy on Reddit, this is apparently a guy who's a soon-to-be former WB employee, or as he indicates, he apparently still works for them. But according to the employee, who was speaking on Reddit, the WB Montreal team is hard at work on a follow-up to Origins under the name Batman Arkham Insurgency. It's a very weird name. According to the employee, who notes that he is leaving the company due to shitty attitude and a massive round of layoffs coming in. So, like I said, take all this stuff with a huge grain of salt. I'm not sure I believe any of this, but Like I said, it's fun to talk about this. I love Batman. It's fun to talk about what the next Batman game could be. The game will feature Batman in a much darker batsuit, along with a less bulky and more ninja Black Ops style approach. So some of the details about this game. The game's called Batman Arkham Insurgency, and it takes place about 3 years after the events of Arkham Origins. It's built on the same engine as Arkham Knight was, and it has been in development since around 2014. So, just to recap here, this still takes place before Arkham Asylum is where they're setting this game. So this is prior to anything that happened in the quote unquote true Arkham trilogy, which whatever. That's another debate. The game will feature Batman and Dick Grayson as Robin as the main playable characters. Grayson has been Robin for about 2 years at this point. It's set in a previously unexplored coastal area of Gotham that is roughly the same size as the 3 islands from Arkham Knight on the outside, although the interiors have been substantially expanded, so you'll be able to get inside most of the buildings now. The Batcave and Wayne Manor are also accessible via fast travel. The plot is that there has been a mass breakout at Blackgate and Arkham Asylum and several terrorist attacks across the city, which results in the Gotham City Police Department blocking off a segment of Gotham where they have completely lost control. This is the main playable area, and while it's mostly populated by villains and criminals, there's a whole heap of trapped civilians that Batman and Robin will need to rescue. This has shades of one of my favorite Batman stories, is No Man's Land, when an earthquake ravaged Gotham City. The city was cut off from the rest of the United States, and it just kind of became this. It was just this ravaged city that was run by the criminals. It was a really cool storyline, went on for an entire year. If you haven't read No Man's Land, go out and read it. It's an awesome story. That's the vibe I'm getting from the plot here.
Right.
The Batmobile is in the game, but it has been changed. There's no more battle mode, but the controls have been modified to compensate. The combat mostly consists of chase sequences and using the Batmobile's superior speed and maneuverability to navigate around slower opponents while bombing the hell out of them with the car's weaponry. The missile's power winch and the EMP device remain, along with some new stuff. Dual play mode is also present, but it has been changed. The dual takedown has been removed, but there's a whole bunch of new special moves and combos in its place. There's an entire new skill tree devoted to the mechanic. So these are the, if you remember in Arkham Knight, there was the dual takedowns when you were battling with Nightwing or with Robin. Combat has been expanded to better accommodate one-on-one fights. It's still rhythm-based where you have to time all the correct button presses exactly, but it's more complicated than the attack-counter basis of the previous games. Owlman and the Court of Owls are the main villains in the game. I'm not going to read the rest of this because this could be a potential spoiler if this guy is correct. We'll see. Other villains in the game are Maxi Zeus, Dollmaker, Killer Moth, Anarchy, Two-Face, Blockbuster, Ventriloquist, Cornelius Stirk, Tweedledee and Tweedledum, Deuce and Al Ghul, Mad Monk, Dala, Riddler, and yes, Joker.
God.
Some of these villains are reaching way into the catalog of Batman villains here. So I'm not sure I believe all of this stuff. I mean, Tweedledee and Tweedledum, that's going deep into the history there. Joker figures somewhat prominently in the story. It's revealed that he helped orchestrate the Arkham Asylum breakout, but he's not the main villain, but more of a major supporting character who mostly works for himself, but will sometimes help Batman and Robin if it benefits him. Alfred and Lucius Fox are your main contacts in the game. Barbara Gordon helps you out on a few side missions and has a slight crush on Dick Grayson, which he doesn't reciprocate. Unlike Arkham Knight, there will actually be boss battles this time. The estimated release date is around November of this year, but it's possible that it could be pushed back, seeing as the game was meant to be revealed towards the end of last year, but was delayed. Now, Brent, that was the prevailing theory in the industry, that WB Montreal had a Batman game ready to display at the end of 2016. There was a lot of talk throughout the industry that that they had something Batman related, and it was this Damian Wayne game. That's the game that's been circulating throughout the industry. I believe they thought it was going to show up at PSX. Was a no-show. Now this guy comes out. He says he works for WB Montreal. He says that he's fed up with the shitty attitude of WB or whatever that means, and the way they're being treated as employees. And he says that there's a massive round of layoffs coming to WB Montreal, upwards of half the force going to be laid off.
Oh.
Which, now I'm not a rocket scientist, but if you're making a AAA Batman game, sure as hell doesn't make a whole lot of sense to wax or cut off half of the development staff in a game that's going to require all hands on deck, especially when you get to crunch time. So there's a lot of elements of the story that don't add up. Like I said, I'm not sure I believe any of the stuff in here. He also noted that the previously canceled Suicide Squad game was in the works for some time, and he says the team is also hard at work on what appears to be the Batman title featuring Damian Wayne. Now, like I said, man, WB Montreal, I don't know how big they are, but I sure as hell know they're not 3 AAA teams big.
Right.
There's no way they could have been working on Suicide Squad, a Damian Wayne Batman game, and a Batman Arkham game all at the same time.
Right.
This doesn't make any sense to me. Yeah, unless I'm just ignorant of WB Montreal. From what I understand, they were basically created to kind of fill the gap with an Arkham game in between Arkham City and Arkham Knight. So I find it hard to believe they've ballooned into this massive, 700-person studio at this point. I would be shocked at that point. But I don't know, man. My take on this right now is I think this is probably a load of crap. I think that the Damian Wayne game that we've heard about from more sources and more reliable sources is probably in the cooker in some respects. Whether or not they're trying to go in a different direction with that, I have no idea. But to me, man, this sounds like a bunch of BS. Where you at on this?
It's hard to ever buy into something that's from somebody who's disgruntled and unhappy.
Yeah.
So, but at the same time,
this is also one of these like one source things, which is also very, very tough to believe.
At the same time, if you're disgruntled, maybe you would throw your, throw that information out there ahead of time because that would piss off your employer as well. So, I'm not sure what to make any of that stuff. I mean, like you said, that sounds like a lot of villains, and some of those villains I've never even heard of.
They're reaching deep into the well there with that one, man.
Yeah, and I mean they're talking about fast traveling. I mean this is obviously another open world title, and it's just I don't know, man. That's a lot right there, and the source.
He also said Roger Craig Smith, I believe that's his name, and Troy Baker would be back to reprise their roles as Batman and the Joker in this game.
Yeah, I'll just wait for the announcement.
and just to remind everybody, that teaser was, I believe, March 7th or March 8th. We're supposedly going to get an announcement from WB, but I believe that IGN France tweet was never clarified or reciprocated, or WB never mentioned anything about it. So we don't even know if that's true.
Right.
But apparently March 8th, we're going to hear something, and that font looked a whole of a hell lot like the Batman Arkham Origins font. So we could be finding out sooner rather than later if this guy's full of it or if he's onto something. The vibe I get from this, though, is a lot of this like Me Too stuff. Like they're just, once again, just trying to copy what they did with Arkham Knight and just maybe throw their own twist on a few things here and there. If Rocksteady's truly done with the Arkham franchise, I want to see WB go in another direction now with Batman.
Right.
I want to see if WB Montreal is going to be the squad. I want to unleash them on the world of Batman and let them do their thing with it.
Right.
Like, let them create their version of Batman. Stop having them try to live up to what Rocksteady did with Batman, which was a phenomenal achievement. And by the way, he also threw that in there too. Somebody asked him. I went through this Reddit thread. There's, people are asking him questions. He's hopping in there and answering. And somebody asked him about if Rocksteady, what they were working on, if it was connected to Batman or if they were working on Superman. He was like, yeah, they're I think they're doing something connected to Arkham. It's probably Superman or something like that. I'm just like, dude, get out of here, man. So, yeah, man. So a lot of this stuff sounds cool, but a lot of it sounds very derivative. So I don't know how to think about it. But I'd be lying if I said if this game come out, I wouldn't buy it and play it. Hell yeah, I'd buy it.
That's a given.
Hell yeah, I'd buy it and play the hell out of it. I love the Arkham games. They're a ton of fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll see, man. But I don't know. Like I said, my take on this, BS. So
straight BS?
BS
right.
At this point, yeah. I'm not buying a word.
Boy says BS. Got it. Well, let's jump over to some Mass Effect Andromeda. Obviously, we mentioned Bender finally finished up Mass Effect 3. He is prepared and ready to take on Mass Effect Andromeda. Mass Effect Andromeda has finally gone gold. A month ahead of launch, the game is gold, and a vast majority of the game remains playable after the story is finished. Lead designer Ian Fraser responded, "There's a handful of quests that if you finish the main story are no longer accessible, but it's a pretty small percentage. But the vast majority of the game, including the loyalty missions, Mass Effect 2 style, you can do even after you finish the main story. Most parts are still open. So you can obviously, once the credits roll or once the story ends, you can still go back in and complete a bunch of missions and other things that you might have not got to. But there will be a couple of items that, the main story will not be, or a handful of quests that won't be accessible. We saw a tweet. I sent it to you guys a couple days ago that Mass Effect sent out. They mentioned that one area of Mass Effect Andromeda, one area, is bigger than all of Dragon Age Inquisition combined.
Man. Correct me if I'm wrong, but Brent, as your 2014 Game of the Year,
yes.
that was a pretty big game, right?
It's not small. I can tell you that. It's not small.
And if I had to guess, Andromeda has more than one area, right?
I would assume so. There's probably more than one planet that you're going to be exploring. So that's massive. And then one of your squad members, the person with the least amount of lines in your squad, still has more lines than Shep did in Mass Effect 3. That's a lot of dialogue.
He's the main character, obviously.
Right.
So
that's a lot of dialogue. So this game is epic in just about every single way.
Massive.
Yeah, this is gonna be a time sink, and I feel bad for Bender and Taz because we'll probably never hear from them ever again. These guys are seriously gonna just crawl into a hole and play this for the rest of their lives.
I'm worried about the website, man. I mean, when this game comes out, Taz, who's a enormous Mass Effect fan, it's his favorite franchise. I mean, when this game comes out, what happens when we have a problem on the website, man? Are we even going to be able to get a hold of him?
No.
I can see him like just disheveled down in the basement. He comes out after 6 months, got a beard down to his knees, just hasn't eaten in days.
Yeah.
Just lost 20 pounds, just a disheveled wreck.
Yeah. And
we're sitting here trying to fix a critical bug on the website.
Can't do it. It's going to be a disaster.
Yeah.
But no, it sounds like this is going to be a pretty big game. But that's cool that you'll be able to go back and complete a lot of things after the main campaign has ended. So very cool with that.
Let me ask you this real quick, Brent.
Mm-hmm.
When I typically play games like this, or open world games, or things that have things to do before you complete the game, do you go through and do all the side missions before you complete the game?
I try to. I guess I try to find out. I mean, that's one of the things I want to find out. What is going to be closed off if not everything. What is going to be closed off after I complete the story. And if I know I can go back into the game and do the side quests, then that's typically what I'll do. But, in some games, like especially when you reach a point where it says, if I like the games when they're like, if you go here, you're not going to be able to come back here. And in that instance, I'll go back and smash out the side quests. But, then there are some games where, you just wander off. Like Fallout 4, you just do side quests wherever you can, but you're probably going to miss them because the map is so huge and some of these side quests are hidden in like the smallest parts of the map, and it's easy to miss. So I try to do as many as I can, but I do like to know ahead of time, what is going to be available to me after I complete the story.
Yeah, that's my I have an OCD thing with games like that, and that's why it's hard for me to play stuff like Fallout, is because I want to do everything. And before I finish the game too, like when I go and I fight the final boss, or when I go to that final area, like I want that to be the end of the game for me. Like I want to have done everything else, and then I want to just go and just finish that game off. Like I want to get into the epic finale, and then when I finish the game, like I feel like I've finished the game. I hate when I finish the game and I have to go back and do more of the game. Like, well, I didn't finish it. Now there's more I got to do, and I ruined the ending because it's not over yet. So that's one of my OCD things with these kind of games.
No, if they're a good side quests, I will do a lot of them. I will spend a lot of time doing side quests. Some more Mass Effect news. Natalie Dormer, who played Queen Marjorie on Game of Thrones, is in Mass Effect Andromeda. She plays Dr. Lexi Tapiro, an Asari medic you meet right after waking from cryosleep, and who then later joins you as your permanent medical officer on board the Tempest. BioWare's fresh character trailer for Lexi mentions her rivalry with Peebee and reveals her crush on a certain Krogan squad member of yours. And people love them Krogans, dude.
Yeah, man. Big burly Krogans.
So obviously Natalie Dormer, a very talented actress. She spent a lot of time on Game of Thrones. And that's awesome. She's going to be in Mass Effect Andromeda. She is one of the main characters.
Dude, I told you I know who I'm romancing now. So the signed, sealed, delivered. I hope Lexi's available. I'm coming for her.
Yeah, Natalie Dormer is a very lovely lady. That's for sure. So if anyone's watched Game of Thrones, you know who Queen Marjorie is. She's very pretty, and she's also a very talented actress. I can't wait to see how she plays a role in Mass Effect Andromeda.
I may not be a strapping Krogan, but I can charm you.
I think I could pass as a Krogan.
I think you could, yeah, actually.
Let's move along. Last Sunday, the Final Fantasy XIV fan event took place, and we got some information about the Samurai job that is coming to Stormblood, the new expansion that drops in June. The Samurai will obviously use a katana as his main weapon, and each katana will come with its own specific saya, carefully designed by the Final Fantasy XIV art team. There will be no base class, and the starting level will be 50. The job shares the same armor that the monks use. Samurai will chain together 3 Sen forces: Setsu, which is snow, Getsu, which is moon, and Ka, which is flower, in order. The job will also be able to store energy in that katana to unleash special attacks for massive damage. There are many different kinds of these attacks. We've also learned that the Samurai job quest line will begin in the original area of Eorzea. To fit the Samurai, the map of the game has been expanded to include a new continent named Hingashi to the far east, beyond the lands controlled by the Garlean Empire, and it will include Doma. The story won't, in fact, just focus on liberating Ala Migo, but also Doma itself. So there's a lot going on here, but the fact that I can play as a samurai using katana blades, yes.
This class sounds sweet.
Yes. This is the class I will play as when this comes out.
Yeah. The red mage class also coming with Stormblood. But yeah, samurai sounds awesome, dude.
Yeah, I am on board for whooping people's asses with katana blades. That sounds awesome. It sounds like there's different types of attacks, different types of abilities that you can use with these katana blades. So that sounds really, really cool. I'm actually on board to play as the samurai.
Yeah. This is going to be massive. Like, I mean, the Final Fantasy, their patches are massive.
Yeah.
So when they release an actual like full-blooded expansion, there's a ton of content coming to this game. So get ready.
Yeah. Go ahead.
It's just pretty impressive how they support this game, man. I mean, they're constantly doing these updates, and every time they update the game, there's a new raid or a new armor or whatever it is that they're adding to the game, a new story beat.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they do these full-on expansions, these things are just gigantic.
Yeah.
They're hours and hours and hours and hours of content that they're adding to the game. It's just, I mean, this is one. We've talked about it, man. But this is one of those games. If you play a Final Fantasy XIV, you could conceivably never play another game again.
You really could.
You'd always have something to play.
That is legit. You could really spend the rest of your life playing that game and be totally content and never run out of stuff to do.
Yep.
And Square isn't just looking to add content. They're also adding a PS4 Pro patch. After confirming once more that the team is currently working on a PS4 Pro patch, Yoshida-san explained that unlike single-player games, Final Fantasy XIV is an MMORPG and is all about displaying as many things on screen as possible at the same time. Rather than using the PS4's power to increase graphical performance, the team would rather use that power to improve the game experience, making it smoother, showing more objects on the screen, and reducing players' stress. Basically what he's saying is that the team is aiming to take advantage of the new console specs to increase performance. Now, when it says smoother, do you think they're eyeing 60 frames, Ben?
I don't know, man. I jumped back into Final Fantasy recently, and I already think it's a pretty smooth game. I'm not sure what the frame rate is.
It's not 60.
It's not 60.
It's like I think it's 30. I think it's a steady 30.
Yeah.
But I've played I've used my account on PC as well with Final Fantasy 14, and man, that game running at 60 frames is really, really nice. And and if they're gonna focus on anything, I would love to see them, because I mean it looks fine. on PC at the settings where it's at. And with the 60 frames, it's just a beautiful looking game in motion. And I would love that if they focused more on getting that performance gain as opposed to going for the 4K visuals and whatnot.
Mm-hmm. Well, what if they can't hit 60, but they can hit like the 45 to 60? Would you want to see that?
You know, man, I played a little bit of Final Fantasy 15, and I don't like frame rates that fluctuate, especially when it's going from something like 40 to 60. 20 frames is quite a change.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if they can hit 60, I think that'd be awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But if they can make it a smoother 30, I would rather them go for a smoother 30 instead of going for a fluctuating above 40. I don't like that. I don't like how it looks. I don't like how it feels. That's just me. Obviously, I know everyone I love a high frame rate. Trust me, I love 60 frames. But if it's a fluctuating one that's dropping down to 40 and back up to 60 and everything in between, I don't like that. I don't like how it looks. I don't like how it feels to play the game when it does that.
Yeah. I'm with you, man. I like the stable locked frame rates. I mean, a locked 30 frames can be a really good experience. I mean, look at Uncharted, look at Destiny, for instance. These are games that don't skip a beat, and they're locked at 30. We're gonna see it from Horizon. I don't know what they need to do to get Final Fantasy 14 to a locked 60. And obviously, it's a game that's been out for years now, so you would think that the technology is kind of catching up to it, where they could do a 60 frames on that game, but I don't really know. I mean, there's a lot going on in that world. Obviously, there's tons of people on the servers at any given time.
Right.
There's lots of stuff that's on the screen at any given time, so I don't know if 60 is a possibility. But if they can do that, if they can go for 60 and keep it at 1080 or whatever they're at with Final Fantasy 14,
I would take that.
Yeah, dude, I'm totally down for that.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Totally would
That'd be
take that.
Yeah.
Yoshida also discussed the possibility during a talk, saying that the team's goal is to bring the game to as many platforms as possible, as long as all versions of the game can interact with each other. This is in regards to a possible, could we see Final Fantasy 14 on the Nintendo Switch? But the availability of cross-platform play appears to be the biggest stumbling block at the moment. Obviously, PS4 and PSE players can play together, and whether or not they want to make this. Obviously, they said they want this they want these games to be able to interact with each other, and we just don't know anything about Nintendo. Well, I'm willing to bet Nintendo's network would not be able to coincide with any other network, whether it be Xbox Live, PC, or PlayStation 4. So,
yeah, let me answer that question for them. No, the game will not be coming to the Switch, and it won't be coming to the Xbox One, and it's for that reason.
Right.
It's if they truly want this game to be cross-platform across whatever platform they decide to put it on, there's no way, dude.
No.
There's no way that PS4, Switch, and Xbox One are all going to be interacting with each other over the same network. Not happening.
No way.
So this game will be PC and PS4 only, and that's just the way it is.
That's just how it's going to be.
There's no way that these guys are going to get buddy over the networks. There's just too many variables. There's too much that goes into it. Like, how can Xbox trust what Sony's doing on their network? How can Sony trust what Nintendo's doing on their network? They don't know what they're letting in or any of that kind of stuff.
Professional courtesy, man. Professional courtesy.
Yeah, I don't see it happening.
Yeah, maybe one day. That'll be a thing. But
yeah, I mean, there's been developers who've been beating the door down for that.
Oh, they want it.
Psyonix,
Yeah.
With Rocket League, they're like, we're ready to do the cross-platform play. We're just waiting for Sony to flip the switch. It's not going to happen, man. They're not going to do it.
Nope. It's not yet, anyways. Maybe someday. I would love to see it. So, boys, let's jump into some PlayStation stories, man. What's going on in the world of PlayStation, other than Horizon Zero Dawn just basically taking over?
Yeah. How about this, dude? There's a rumor that surfaced that Shenmue HD will arrive this year, and this package will apparently include both of the Shenmues leading up to Shenmue 3. So, a remastered version of Shenmue and its sequel. This is via Push Square, which comes via Rice Digital, which is a UK website. A remastered version of Shenmue and its sequel will apparently release this year. And here we go with this. According to a quote-unquote trusted Atlas source who spoke to Rice Digital. So I don't like this one source business. So I don't know how much stock we're going to put in the story. But the two games will apparently deploy as a single package rather than separately and are being prepared ahead of the release of Shenmue 3, which is currently slated for 2017. Yeah, right. but is expected to slip into 2018. Yeah, at the very least, Shenmue 3 is a 2018 game. Shenmue is not a 2017 game. There's no way in hell. Sega's been teasing the remaster. I believe we mentioned this on the show some months back, but they registered some domain names surrounding Shenmue HD.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, man. What do you think? It makes sense, right, to release the Shenmue games before Shenmue 3, get people excited about it?
That seems to be the MO for a lot of these developers and these studios. Hey, look, we're bringing out this new one. We've got some. It's a continuation. There might be some storylines that only fans of the first two would understand or catch on to. Let's bring these other ones out, remaster, make a buck. I mean, obviously these remasters don't take much effort, not as much as as a AAA title would, but obviously it's a way to make some money, and it's able to get people caught up who haven't played those games.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I mean, there's a lot of people clamoring for this. I think a HD remaster of those games will do extremely well, and it's going to get people pumped and ready for Shenmue 3. Mm-hmm. A lot of people have never played a Shenmue game. A lot of people that own a PS4 or that own an Xbox One, or I guess it's only coming to PS4 and PC as we stand right now. But a lot of people who are playing games right now have never played a Shenmue game.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that would be cool if they could get those out and let people experience it and get ready for the series. Another rumor this week, Brent. It surfaced on Reddit that Sucker Punch's new game they're working on was a spaghetti western.
Mm-hmm.
So this is also a story via Push Square. This is what they had to say. A Reddit rumor claims that infamous developer Sucker Punch is working on a spaghetti western for the PlayStation 4, but there's no truth to it as far as we can tell. The speculation seems to be based upon a bunch of old, unresolved Sony rumors that one poster has just decided to pull together into one place. The person cites artwork from an undisclosed PlayStation project as the basis for his hypothesis. But our understanding is that the Western concept was commissioned by London Studio as part of a potentially canceled PlayStation VR game. He also points to an old trademark from a game called Nomageddon, which is surely unrelated. So there's a dude on Reddit who seriously just grabbed a bunch of concept art and stuff from across the PlayStation world, put them together into a story, and said this was infamous developer Sucker Punch's new game. So we're here to tell you that's not the case. Although, I don't know, man. Infamous or Sucker Punch doing a spaghetti western might actually be kind of cool.
Could be.
But not meant to be at this point. Neo, Brent, passed 1 million in sales already.
Impressive.
This is a game that's been, I don't know if we'd call this a surprise hit. I'm kind of surprised.
I would say it's a surprise hit commercially in terms of sales.
Yeah.
I mean, I think everyone kind of expected this to review pretty well. I mean, based on what we had played in the demos that were out. And Team Ninja is obviously a very talented developer. So, obviously, there was a lot of expectation there from a critical perspective. But the sales is what's impressive. I mean, 1 million units so far for a title like this it is really impressive.
Yeah. And to celebrate the occasion, patch 1.04, which is live now, includes the Golden Neo armor. So you can grab that for free as a bit of a celebration. And this too, Brent, this has me thinking that this Dark Souls audience, this audience that those games have created, so Demon Souls, Dark Souls, Bloodborne, like these games that have basically created a whole new subgenre of game, that audience is very, very strong. They're hungry for more content after Dark Souls 3. And Neo came out, and Neo fit the bill, and they're gobbling this thing up.
Yeah.
This thing's been out for 2 weeks. And it's sold 1 million copies. A game that you would think, even though it's a high quality like AAA action game, this is a niche game. These are hard games.
Yeah.
These are not the casual gamer who goes out to the store and be like, man, I'm looking for something to play. Let me get this hard as balls Japanese samurai sim, and I'm gonna go home and play this all night. Like this game kicks your ass, and it takes pleasure in kicking your ass, and it's a game that's not for everybody. But this audience maybe not so niche anymore, man.
It's growing.
There's people
it's definitely
that love
growing.
These games.
Yeah, it's definitely
growing. We saw the numbers for Dark Souls 3, and that they're really substantial as well. So. What do you think about that, man? What do you think about this group that's kind of swelling around these games? And, how many of these Dark Souls games are we going to see? Like, we got the Surge coming up in the future here, which is like Dark Souls in space. I think is the pitch for that one. So, what do you think about all this, man?
Well, I mean, there's just that aura about these games that, they're challenging games, and I think a lot of people want to be like, hey, I'm a gamer, and I want to play the hardest of the hard, and I want to be a hardcore game, and I want to jump into this. And the more they hear their friends talking about it, and the more they hear about it, more people are like, well, I want to try that game out. And the more they play it, and the more that there's a lot of satisfaction to be had from playing these games. I mean, when you can beat some of these bosses, it's much more rewarding than anything Call of Duty or Battlefield can give you. I mean, with the exception of like maybe an awesome performance in multiplayer. But from a single-player perspective, Uncharted included, very few games can get you to the highs that you experience when you defeat these bosses in these tougher games. And I think people are starting to get hungry for that. They're starting to get addicted to it, and they're telling their friends, and then their friends like, man, I want to feel that way. I want to work hard in these games, and I think it's starting to grow. I think it's starting to expand quite a bit. A lot of people are starting to like these games that kick you in the nuts.
Yeah, and it could be something too where the average gamer gets older and older every single year. So these people that are gaming are more and more they're seasoned gamers. The people that have been gaming for a long time, they're yearning for the challenges of old, of like the NES and the Super NES and some of the games that we played on there. So they've found that in these series of games, and and there's in the community surrounding these games is really interesting too, because I know it's true with Dark Souls. Neo seems to be a little more forthcoming with information from what I've played in the beta, but like this community swells up around these games and they kind of figure it out together. Like there's a lot of I can't get past this boss. Does anybody have any strategies? Like Dark Souls especially, people were just going through finding out what all these items did, and kind of there's this whole community that rises up and discovers the game together and kind of figures out how to get from point A to point B together. And that it's also kind of cool to be a part of that scene as well. I think that people get a high on that.
Right.
But yeah, in addition to that, Neo, and what the hell is a high difficulty mission in Neo?
When I see that, I was like, what?
Yeah. So 10 types of high difficulty missions, including ones that feel like boss rushes, will be added to Neo in late March, and in April, Neo will be getting PvP. So we'll see how that turns out. Now, there's 3 announced DLC packages that are being prepared for Neo. The first one is titled Dragon of Tohoku, and that'll launch in April. It'll include new scenarios, weapon types, characters, guardian spirits, stages, and more. Japan's Best Warrior is the second DLC, and Peaceful and Tranquil is the name of the third piece of DLC. So if I had to guess, I'd imagine these will be substantial, like Dark Souls, Bloodborne type of DLC packages for Neo. So Neo fans, strap in. If you can make your way through the game, you're gonna have lots of content coming to you in the near future. So that's awesome. This game's good, dude. It's a really good game. It's something I hope I can sit down and have the patience to try and play through at some point. My patience has worn on me when I've tried to sit down and play Bloodborne or something like that in the past. I haven't been able to fully invest myself into one of these games, but I'd like to really buckle down one of these days and see if I can really dig into this game.
It's fun. It's very very challenging, but it's very very fun.
Yeah, really liked what I played in the beta. When I played it in the beta, I was like, this is a great game. Like, people are going to eat this up, and it's come to bear fruit now. It's happy for it, man. It's a great game. My gosh, I mean, how good is the beginning of this year in gaming? I mean, this is insane. There's
so many good games right now.
This is insane. The best 3 months in gaming I can remember in recent memory. This has just been a really stellar beginning to 2017, man. If the fall is anything like the winter and what it appears the spring is going to be, woo, buddy, we're in for a hell of a year here. Brent, Ruiner is a game that's been announced for. I'm not sure if it was officially announced for PS4 or not, but it's been floating around on some trailers for, at the very least, coming to the PC. It's coming to the PS4 this summer. This game looks really, really rad. Super dark, like a cyberpunk type of a setting. Twin stick action, like neo-noir type of a game. This one looks sweet. Definitely on my radar for the summer. Coming from Devolver Digital, those guys make good stuff. Kojima was out doing a few interviews this past week, and what I thought was really interesting is he describes Death Stranding as an open world action game. I'm not sure that's the vibe that any of us got from the trailer. I mean, I know he's talked about making an action game in the past, and obviously that's where his expertise is, in making the action game, making the stealth games with Metal Gear. But what do you think about Death Stranding as an open world action game, dude? You excited that that's the route he's going here?
I'm fine with that, especially with what we have seen in these trailers, the world that this game takes place in. Yeah, I'm excited to see a lot more of that world in an open world setting. I'm down with that.
Yeah. I'm excited to see what becomes that, especially now that we see what this Decima engine is capable of with Horizon.
Mm-hmm.
And what's this thing going to do a couple years down the line as Kojima gets in there and molds it and creates it the way that he wants to? I mean, we've already seen some incredible trailers for this game.
Yeah.
Just with what he's been able to do with it, which he says is running in real time on a PS4 Pro.
Mm-hmm.
So to think what this engine could do some years down the line here, it's pretty exciting, man.
Oh yeah.
Serial Cleaner, another cool game, cool looking game where you play as a guy who cleans up after the mafia. It's coming to the PS4 and Xbox One. That one's coming from Curve Digital. I really like the way that one looks. It's got the 70s aesthetic.
Yeah.
Looks like the Beastie Boys Sabotage.
That one actually looks really good.
yeah, that looks like a good one. Lightfield. This game actually looks fantastic. It's running at 60 frames. It's really, really fast-paced, futuristic racer where you can race in all directions. Crazy looking game, but it looks great in motion. Star Ocean Till the End of Time, the director's cut. This was the PS2 Star Ocean.
Oh wow!
It's coming over to PS4 now in a director's cut, so kind of cool. That game was really popular back in the day. And Brent, Final Fantasy VII remake voiceover work is nearing completion.
Wow!
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, or maybe you've heard this before, but from what I understand, voiceover is one of the last parts of the video game development process.
Mm-hmm.
So hearing that voiceover work, and I assume this has to be on maybe one episode of however many episodes this game is going to be.
That's what I wanted to know based from this story. Are they referring to the first episode, or are they referring to the entirety of it all?
Yeah. Because have you heard that in the past, that voiceover work is one of the last steps of when they do these games?
I haven't heard that, but I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case. But with reading the voice lines, I mean, I still think you got to probably have to do animation for the mouth when people are talking. So I'm assuming that would come after the fact. So maybe it's not the very end thing, but somewhere in the midst of it all.
Yeah. So I was just struck a little bit by that because I know I've read it somewhere. I can't place where I've seen it right now or where I've read it, but I've read that voiceover where it comes later in the process. So reading that, I wonder, Brent, is there any way that on the 20th anniversary of Final Fantasy VII that the first episode of this game sneaks its way out this fall?
Man.
Is there any way?
For your sake, I hope it does. But I don't know, man. I don't know where this game is at, and I know it's supposed to be a massive game, but, it's Square, and I could see them troll you hard on the 20th anniversary, but maybe this is. I mean, they've trolled enough with Final Fantasy VII. Maybe this is the one time where they deliver, dude.
That crazy Final Fantasy rumor earlier this year said that Final Fantasy VII, the first episode, was coming out this year.
It did.
So we'll see how it all plays out.
How's that Vita collection coming along too from that?
Yeah. Like I said, I wasn't holding my breath for that one. But if that does come out, though, dude, I'm there. I'm so there. It's not even funny. But yeah, we've seen, they've released some new screenshots recently. They showed us a little bit of the first battle in the game, the first kind of quote unquote mini boss battle against that spider tank that's at the end of the prologue to the game. Looks awesome. I can't wait to play this game, man. This is gonna be sweet.
I know, man.
Pumped.
I know. As much time as you put into Final Fantasy 15, I cannot wait to see how much time you put into Final Fantasy 7, dude.
Yeah, it's crazy, dude.
Well, thank you, Mr. Boys. Thank you for taking us through the PlayStation stories, and that's gonna do it for this week's podcast. And I don't know, dude. I mean, here we are. We've got Horizon coming out in a couple days. We've got the Nintendo Switch this Friday. It's gonna be a busy week, dude.
Yeah. And, I got to take it one game at a time, man. For games that are this large, I cannot play both of these games at the same time.
Right.
So, on Tuesday, hoping to start Horizon, hoping to start playing through that. I will fire up Zelda on the Switch. I will give it a whirl, play it a little bit so we can talk about it on the next show.
Mm-hmm.
So I have something to say about it. But after that, I'm going to try to focus on beating Horizon. If we're putting Ghost Recon off to the side, that's cool. That'll give me more time to play some of these other games. Nier is coming out in the quote-unquote near future. But that's going to be one I'm going to have to pass on. And, the question is, can I get through one or there's no way I can get through both of these games. But what's going to happen when Mass Effect comes out, on the 21st? Am I going to be ready to play that? I know I'm going to want to hop in and play some multiplayer. I do want to play the story in this game. It's a busy time of the year, man. It's a great time to be a gamer. It's also an overwhelming time to be a gamer. There's almost too much going on right now, honestly, because these games are just so big.
Yeah.
I mean, reading about Zelda sounds like a game you could easily spend 100 hours in.
Right.
And you probably wouldn't even have seen everything.
Mm-hmm.
So, that game's going to be just massive.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. And now that I've kind of cleared out Ghost Recon, unfortunately, like I said, that's disappointing because that was one of my most anticipated games of the year. And just to kind of see, knowing that I'm going to have to just kind of put that aside and just so I can focus on Horizon and Zelda this week. Very, very busy time, but I'm okay with that. I'm looking forward. These are going to be two, for all intents and purposes, based on what we've seen from the Horizon reviews and what we've seen from the Zelda previews. These are very, very good games, so the fewer the better right now, and I think Zelda and Horizon are two games that will tide me over for quite some time. So,
yeah.
But next week, we'll have Bender and Frankie back on. We'll talk about the Nintendo Switch. We'll talk about Zelda. We'll talk about Horizon. We'll have a lot to talk about with those three games, or those two games in that system. We'll have a lot to talk about. We're really looking forward to it. We want to get your thoughts for the podcast. If you get a Switch on Friday and you get to spend some time with it and play Zelda, we want to get your thoughts so we can read it off on the show. Podcast@shortpause.com. Send us your thoughts of the Nintendo Switch, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, or Horizon Zero Dawn. Whatever you want to talk about, we want to hear from you. Boys, where can we find you playing Horizon Zero Dawn and Breath of the Wild?
As always, I'll be not tweeting at Piccolo930. Of course, that's my PSN ID. It's the ID I've claimed for my Nintendo ID as well. So you'll be able to find me at Piccolo930. Man, I'm going to have to start saying where you can find me on Nintendo. Now. That's weird. But yeah, for now, I'm just on PSN at Piccolo930. And just a friendly reminder, the Thursday Night Indie Spotlight is 10 p.m. Eastern every Thursday on our Twitch channel, Short Pause Live. This week, Forma.8 will be the game that we fire up. So looking forward to playing it. Hope to see you there.
I'll be there. Can't wait to see that game in action if I don't pick it up already prior to the showing. You can find me on Twitter at TheDude1979, PlayStation 4, TheDude79, Nintendo Switch, TheDude79, and Xbox Live, The Real Dude 79. Make sure you visit the website, www.shortpause.com. Follow us on Twitter at TheShortPause. If you like this podcast, if you really enjoy it, go over to iTunes, give us a 5-star rating, write a nice review. If you're not quite ready to give us a 5-star rating, I don't want any fake ones. Come over to the website, go right into the comments section of this podcast. Let us know your feedback, your thoughts, your criticisms, suggestions, anything. If you want to write a nasty email, that's cool too. Podcast@shortpause.com. We take those just as serious as we do the nice emails. That's the only way the show's going to get better is if we hear from you. We need to hear from you. We want to hear from you. Write into us. You can go in the comments, email, Twitter, whatever you want to do. We need to hear from you. Check out the Short Pause Gaming YouTube channel. All of our live streams from Twitch will be over there. Any Let's Plays. I'm sure we'll have some Zelda gameplay up next weekend. So make sure you check us out on YouTube, Short Pause Gaming. Make sure you subscribe to Twitch, Short Pause Live. Always streaming, always got good stuff. If there's anything you want to see us play, send us an email, hit us up on Twitter. We'll be more than happy to get you some footage of a game that you might be interested in. For Mr. Boyce, I'm Brent Felsing. Thanks again for tuning into the Short Pause Gaming Podcast. We can't wait to talk to you next week about the Nintendo Switch. We'll see you then. Good night, everybody.
See you guys.